Guys, I hope you're ready for tonight. It is going to be absolute insanity. We have some of the most fun people. So Carrie Watson's in here. Don't share this out. She's not supposed to be telling everybody. Oh, and I see her co-pilot just sit down with her. It's so exciting. So we're gonna have the co-pilot extraordinaire is going to be on tonight with us too. And we thought she was going to be late, so obviously her coming in early is going to be awesome. So they're going to talk Mike Turner with Shop Dog Fabrication, who's been on obviously a couple of these. And then we got August Mickelson, who is driving 128 miles an hour home to jump on his computer to get in here with us too. So excited about all that. But the biggest news, got a new mic. You can see. I hope it sounds nice. It wasn't very expensive, but typically we don't spend money on this kind of stuff. I just kind of get myself through. But we actually spent some money on this. We spent money on external hard drive. So we have 2 terabytes of hard drive and a memory card. And we did all of that because of the sponsorship for the TDS neutral safety strap cover from destroyer1320.com. So I'm going to play his thing right now, y'all. I can't thank him enough. I see some folks in the comments. We're going to get over there in just a second as we bring everybody in. But I'm going to play this video. I didn't know it was so easy to steal Mopars. So I came up with this little, don't turn your sick week into suck week because your Mopar got stolen. So let me play this video and then we'll jump in and get started.
Are you tired of worrying about your car when it's parked in the parking lot? You're not around it. You're at dinner. You're at the mall. You're worried about it? Stop being worried about it, man. Go over to www.destroyer1320.com. Get yourself neutral release cover. If you pull this up and you don't see that, go over to destroyer1320.com. Get yourself one of them. Do yourself a favor. Get the latest TDS OBD2 cover. That will stop people from computer and cloning your key. Head over to www.destroyer1320.com now. Use code DESTROYER5 and get 5% off your first order. Thank you.
But guys, it's actually better. So if you use the code NARX, that's my last name, you actually get 10% off of those. Pretty neat deal. I would have never thought. So what we're going to do on Sick Week is we're going to try and maybe move some Mopars around for folks that don't necessarily know we're doing it. So I think it's going to be a ton of fun. All right, enough of that stuff. Hawassi Tire and Lube, obviously taking care of us on tires. We picked up some drag radials. Have now I'm taking them over Saturday to Tyler Basham's place and with the Taco Time Fairmont, and they're going to haul those drag radials down for the Model A. And then, guys, last bit, and I promise we're bringing everybody in, the podcast room. This all wouldn't be possible without folks that donated. Tom Stark, Tyler Petrum, Ryan Wing, Donovan Green, Matt Monroe, Dino Cardella, Big Bad Daddy, the Cowboy Yankee, John Morant. Couldn't have done that without these guys. You can see it's still not finished. I don't have any time. I'm literally out of time for all of our stuff. Okay, that's enough of my jibber jabber. Let's bring some folks in. So we got Mike Turner and Carrie and Andy, the all-girl race team. I like that. That's cool. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves, let's start ladies first, obviously. Start with you guys. Tell your names, and then how many maybe drag and drive events you've been on, and then where people can find more information about your stuff.
Okay, so I'm Carrie Watson, and I have the brown Chevelle, better known as the gold. Actually, it's the gold Oldsmobile, better known as the brown Chevelle. And I actually looked this up because I thought you might ask me. So I've done 7 drag weeks and 6 Rocky Mountain race weeks. So I've been on 13 altogether.
That's insanity. Andy, how many have you been on?
I think I've been on 4 or 5.
God, that's crazy. Crazy town.
Yeah, so she was my official co-pilot when she was 8. So I went to Colorado from Indiana alone with an 8-year-old and thought that was a fantastic idea.
There's going to be some good stories that come out of that. I can only imagine. Mike, you want to give them the rundown on your stuff?
Yep. My name is Mike Turner. You can find me on Instagram at Shop Dog Fabrication, or also my YouTube channel, Shop Dog Fabrication. I've been on 2 Hot Rod Drag Weeks, one Race Week 2.0, and I'll be on Sick Week this year for the first one, and also planning on running Hot Rod Drag Week again for 2022.
Nice.
So
there's a crazy year planned. Oh, you're gonna get some echo, I think, as we go through here. There's Midwest Drags, 2 Rocky Mountain Race Weeks, Sick Week, and then Drag Week. I mean,
there's also the Carolina one now. I don't know if you saw that one. There's one that's in the Carolinas. There's also a local one. It's like a 3-day one up in, I think it's Indiana, Chicago area. So there's actually a couple more that maybe not be as well known.
Yeah.
And there's one in Canada now too, Miles of Mayhem, that they started last year.
Yep. And then for everybody that doesn't know, we host one as well for charity. That is April 8th through 10th. We race on Friday night, drive to Sedalia, Missouri from Joplin, which is about 180 miles, and then do a cruise night up there with the 301 streetcar crew, and then drive back and race on Sunday. So kind of fun. Yeah, I'm excited about that. This will be our 4th year to do that, and second year, I think, for it to be in April. So.
Yeah, like, or if you're me, you drive to the wrong track first and then turn around and drive back.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think you came right past Ozark, right? And then yeah, that was kind of
all the way to Mocan, and I was the only person there.
Hey, that's okay. We like that you were punctual and early. All right, let's pop August in here since we're doing our introductions. He is the rookie. So this ought to be a ton of fun. I'm sure he's going to have some questions. If people haven't seen it, we've done this. This is our 3rd one to do like this. And so you can go back and watch those after this one runs. So August, you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody where they can find you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm August Mickelson of Mickelson Racing Channel on YouTube. And I've got Instagram at August_MRC. And then I've got Mickelson Racing Channel on Facebook as well. So
nice.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. So I just want to start out. I mean, Tom made an announcement last week that, typically if you attend an event, you're kind of the first in the next year, right? Well, we all know Tom Bailey wants fast cars. That's the plan, right? What do you guys think about only the fastest 100 getting early registration for the next Sick Week?
Yeah, I've got actually no problem with that, right? Because if you think about what Freiberger was doing, with Hot Rod Drag Week, his thing has been he wants the fastest cars there. He wants the quickest and the fastest. Now, Tom is, kind of doing that in a way, but he's also making sure that even the slow cars have an opportunity, and he's given even the slow cars an opportunity to be competitive in it, if you will, right? And he's doing the DYO, he's doing the bullseye challenge, if you will. So I'm okay because he's setting these tracks up for kill, right? He's making sure these things are prepped, and he wants those 5-second runs. Where maybe during the drag week or the race week type stuff, those tracks, they're prepped, but they're maybe not prepped for, 3,000 horsepower pro mod, right?
Right.
So to me, I'm cool with that, and he made the statement, I think too, that, even if let's say day 3 and you're running 707 or something, and you break and you just can't fix it, he's going to allow you to be that early registrant because, he even stated, right, he wants the fastest of the fast there. He wants to make sure that event, everybody has an opportunity to do the personal best and do quick. But then, there's that 100, 150 kind of thing that he did, right? The 100 of the fastest, the 100 of the, I'll say the quickest, right? And then you've got the 10 seconds slower where you can still be competitive and have a good time and have the experience. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, we're in the last one for sure.
Yeah.
Carrie, what do you think?
I think it's going to, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
Being one of the slow cars, it still doesn't bother me because I know that not all of the events are set up for every car. So I was lucky to get in this year, and it might be the only year I get to do it because I'm only going to run 11s. But I mean, I'm getting to do it, and it's fun. And Rocky Mountain Race Week will always have a place for me because I can always run 13.0 out there. So it's all good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. August,
and to your point, Carrie, right? I'm at 12.2s, you know what I mean? So I'm right on that cusp of 11s where, where race week you can be competitive, but, Hot Rod Drag Week I'm not, right? But I go and I still have a good time and you see everybody. Sorry, August, go ahead.
Yep, exactly.
Again, I'm a slow car too. I'm a 12.0 11.9 guy in the car that I'm taking. So, but I think the fastest 100 is going to be great. I mean, this is going to be a high social media advertised deal, and you're going to want that attention. And the fast cars are what generally get the most
Yep.
attention. So
Yep.
by having those guys, continuously go year after year, you're going to draw more attention, and you're going to make the sport look more attractive, which is going to attract more people to either get in the sport or watch the sport. And so I think it's a great way to promote not only the event but the motorsport in general. So I'm all for it, even though I'm not going to be the guy.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's for what he's wanting to do. It immediately made me want to build a fast car. Like, I mean, I literally watched that video and messaged my brother. I was like, "We need an 850 car," and he was like, "Let's go." And then I thought, "Okay, I'm gonna have to, get a second mortgage on my house, so that's not going to happen." Hey, honey, I'd like to borrow a whole bunch of money and build a fast car. She's like, "No, quit driving your '93 Tercel daily, and you can."
My goal is to get into the 10s in the future. I mean, right now, I'm 12.2. With the good DA, I might be able to get down to 12.1 or maybe even with 12.0s. But I'm debating about. I'm thinking about either upgrade this car or I'm going to build a whole new project. I've already been accumulating stuff if I decide to go a whole new project route. So I've gotten some incredible deals here recently on Marketplace, and and I'm thinking about just pulling the plug and keeping this car because my son may want to do an event here in the near future.
Yeah.
Let him learn on this, the car I currently have, and then go to. I will never be an 850 class, right? That's just not the cards. But run maybe bottom 10s. That's very feasible and achievable.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to be in like the 15 to 16 second class, but we're going to look cool doing it. And Justin will be driving, so I'll be able to make fun of him if he, has a real slow light or something like that. But I told him, and I've said this every time we've done this. Listen, if you're next to a fast car and it's going to be cool, the cameras are running. So just red light. As soon as the first bulb comes on, leave and let that person just blow by you.
Yeah.
For the content, for the content.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're not going to beat them at all. Do you guys want to go through the cars you're bringing? Tell everybody about that stuff. Let's do that. Why, Carrie, you want to start off?
Sure, I'll go first. So I'm bringing the same car that I bring to everything. Believe it or not, it's a 1972 Oldsmobile Cutlass. Adam Dorey will tell you it's a brown Chevelle, and I'll accept that because that's what all the idiots at the gas station tell me that it is. So it's a 455. It's got Edelbrock aluminum heads, Sniper, Holley Sniper EFI, full interior, rust. There's some snacks under the seat from last fall, probably.
Are they still packaged, or is it just crackers kind of torn apart laying down there?
There's probably some that are still packaged. There's probably some with the mice ripped open. But no, it's fun. It's reliable. At home, I'll run 11.7s and good air. I don't know what I'll run in Florida. I imagine high 11s, low 12s. Rocky Mountain Race Week, I always sandbag to 13.0 because I can't run 12.0. So,
yep. And then Danny's asking if you changed the oil on that car yet.
No, and I probably won't. I'm just gonna load it and go.
That's awesome. He's also saying no more tomatoes.
Oh, he visited Indiana and he brought me produce from his garden that I promptly forgot. And getting ready to go to race week, I was like, what's in this bag? And I grabbed it, and it was a paper bag. So the bottom came out, and it was, I don't know, 3-month-old tomatoes and cucumbers, and it smelled kind of funky. And of course, when I grabbed the bag, I went like this. So it was clear over my seat. And
that sounds awesome.
August's face is priceless right there.
Well, let's keep that rotation going. August, you want to tell everybody what you're bringing?
Yeah, so I got a couple rides, I suppose, but I'm bringing my quick street car because that's the only thing that's drivable right now. So it's a 2012 Chevy Caprice, which is just a poor man's version of a SS or a G8. It's a super long car. It weighs over 4,000 pounds, but it's pretty healthy. It's got a BTR Night Fury cam in it, long tubes, 3-inch stainless exhaust. It's got a healthy tune on it. It's lowered on coilovers. It's got C6 Z06 wheels. So it's got the 19 by 12s in the back. So it's got some meat on it. Then it's got we're running slicks and front runners for the track.
Nice.
I haven't decided if I want to run the race wheels the whole week or switch out street tires every day. I don't know. I'll probably decide about 20 minutes before the driver's meeting. But it makes 460 to the tire. It's been on a dyno, so it's pretty healthy NA motor. It's a 6-liter L77. Same thing that
Nice.
came in it from the factory. So it's really not that advanced of a build.
Yep.
But it's a pretty quick street car. It runs 12.0, 11.9 up here in North Dakota. The 3 months a year we can race up here. But
I can't imagine having such a small season.
it's not fun. It is fun, but it needs to be fun for longer.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah. But yeah, that's part of the reason why we're going to Florida. We're going to extend our season a little bit for a week and go have some fun. So.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a 1970 Dodge Dart Swinger that basically was a rolling shell when I started on it. I don't know, about 6 years ago, I guess. It's just got stock bottom end 360 Magnum with Eddie heads, cam, intake, right? Carb, nothing fancy, headers, dual exhaust, and it's been lightened. I'm running like fiberglass front and rear bumpers, aluminum. Fabricated my own brackets for the bumpers. Aluminum seats in it. I've got an 8-point cage in the car just because, when you're doing 110 in the quarter, right, it's still about being safe because you just don't know the car next to you. Anything can happen, or the car you line up to when they all run sessions, how quick they're going to be. So it's just about all safety. The car without me in it, I think weighs about 3,075 pounds.
Nice.
With about a quarter of tank of fuel. So it's pretty lightweight for what it is. So if I actually put some horsepower, some power into the car, it won't take much to get it, into the 11s for sure. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
still tuning on it and tweaking it, and I might be able to get it into the 11s. We'll see. Like I was telling you earlier, right? This is the first winter I have not had the engine or transmission out of the car.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case for a ton of folks too, because like Tom and Blaine were talking about, they're like, we're back in crunch mode to get the wagon ready. And typically, you take a couple weeks off and then you pull the car apart and then you put the car back together and then it's mad dash for some kind of event. And then Scott Guthrie is saying, you guys will run a lot faster down here in Florida. He said the DA will be in negative numbers. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to run some personal bests, right?
I ran in negative DA in Maryland, and was that 2019, Drag Week 2019, that we were in Maryland?
Yep.
And I think I ran an 1173, which I matched at Muncie Dragway this last fall, but it was also like 50 degrees and my teeth were chattering. So that definitely helped.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some of that. That early morning stuff is going to be interesting. I've never raced in the morning time. We've always raced at night on 2.0. That's the only thing I've attended so far. So it'll be fun.
I think the best DA I ever raced in was 1,800, and generally our races are in the afternoon. We're at like 36 or 4,000. So a negative number is gonna be something I've never seen before.
Right, you're not gonna know what to do. Your car's just gonna go out first pass and be like your personal best out of the gate.
Yeah, for real.
What do you guys have left for the trip? Like on the cars, anyways. I know you probably hadn't packed or anything like that.
Actually, for me right now, I just got I had to get new belts in. Because my belts, expired in December. I do not run the stock 52-year-old belts anymore, right? Because that's just probably not smart.
Just a lap belt at 110. Awesome.
He just told me I'm not smart. That's what I heard.
Oh, man. Ouch.
Well, for me, I decided not to run the 52-year-old belts anymore. So yeah, I did buy a new set of belts. So I got to put those in. But for the most part, other than that, it's just cleaning the car up, and get ready. I'm going to load it up Sunday onto the trailer, pull the trailer into the garage, put the small trailer in the back of the truck. And so basically Friday morning is open the garage, hook up to the trailer and, hit the road for Florida.
Roll on. That's awesome.
Yep.
Carrie, are both of you guys going? Can we say that?
No one from here is going on sick week, but I feel a little bit of a cough coming on. No, Andy's going to stay. She didn't want to miss school, and they took out the Disney stop, which was like the main. Not that we couldn't still swing over to Disney, but that was kind of the excitement for her.
Yep, I can appreciate that.
Yeah,
my daughters were like, if you go to Disney, you've got to get us a shirt or something. I'm like, and it was like the next day they said, we're not going. I was like, yeah, we're not going. They're like, okay, well, we've got to go then. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, downtown Disney actually is not that far away from, we're from really where we stay in hotel wise, right? In the Kissimmee area. It really isn't that far. Downtown Disney, is a kind of a free thing that you can park at and walk around without paying the $75 to get in if you don't want.
Well, hey, there we go.
We've done downtown Disney. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is.
Pay $75 for a T-shirt.
Yeah. So downtown Disney is a pretty neat stop. So if anybody's going right and they just want to kind of go do something, I mean, it's find a parking spot and you can walk around and still have a pretty decent time in that area.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. August, what do you got? I keep wanting to call you Scott every time. Like, is your middle name Scott, maybe?
Not even close.
Come on, man.
I got nothing for you.
Yeah, August. I'll get it right.
So, like, a couple months ago, my girlfriend was driving the car that we're taking down there and rear-ended somebody and just wrecked the thing. And so I've been slowly trying to piece the thing back together. It's actually at the alignment shop right now, and they found a broken control arm that I did not find. So we're leaving on Tuesday, and they're hoping to get it done by Saturday. So, but after that, we're ready to go. It's loaded up on the trailer and head. So, yeah, I'm just, waiting on other people, which is always good. But my list is small, so
and waiting on parts. At least it's stock parts. It's not like some crazy, you're not waiting for some custom
right.
part.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If you were waiting on, something that's, motion raceworks part, or, I don't know, some custom race part, you might be out a couple weeks or something, but yeah, I'm hoping, fingers crossed.
Yeah. If not, surely there's some other parts available somewhere you can just run over and rob.
I would hope so.
Pull up to a dealership and be like, hey, bro, I need this part bad.
Right.
How many miles is it for you guys to get there? To get started,
I'm at 1,850 from my house to Bradenton. Yeah, it's I can't compete with the Canadians, but it's a good jaunt.
Yeah, listen, hey, we don't talk about Rich Guido, okay? That dude puts more miles on his car. Oh, he's the Canadian Chuck Norris.
The fact that he's driving his car in winter, right?
Yeah, studded tires of the studded driver.
He's an animal. We can all look up to him.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know what I love most about Rich is, like, no matter what he's doing, if Andy happens to walk by or walk up to him, he has the biggest smile. He always has a minute to tell her hi. If we're at a checkpoint that's offering food, he'll pull up a chair and be like, hey, Andy, come eat with us. So, I mean, he's always on when he's at the track, but he always has time for the kids. So he's awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
And yeah, I just looked it up. I am 1,047 miles away.
Oh, I guess I got to look now.
Dang.
I know
I'm a 3-hour flight away. I don't know how many miles it is. It's 16 hours because I was going to, we were looking at driving the cart down, but I didn't have time to fix the trans. So,
yeah, I know I am. Well, it says 16-hour drive, but I know it's going to be longer than that with stops and everything else, right? Yeah. So we're definitely, going to stay somewhere Friday night, probably south of Atlanta, something like that, and then have a easy cruise in Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's probably best. I fly in Friday afternoon, and then we're going to do Streetcar Takeover, and then Streetcar Takeover again on Saturday. So, Carrie, what were you saying?
I still feel like mine is short because it's not 27 hours to Pueblo, Colorado. That's the longest drive we have ever done. It was not good,
especially with the old ladies.
Yeah, especially with the old ladies. Yes.
Yeah. I think it was.
What's
20
the
hours
old ladies mean?
2.0.
What's the what do you mean with the old ladies?
So my mom and aunt had always wanted to follow along on an event. So we signed them up for Road Week, in 2019.
Nice.
And they were supposed to take, I have now you can all make fun of me. I have the 2003 Jeff Gordon Monte Carlo, you know, the blue with the flames and all the Jeff Gordon decals.
Get it, girl.
Because I liked him when I was younger. So anyway, so they're going to take the Jeff Gordon Monte Carlo. They're going to follow us out, follow along, do their own thing. The night before, a mile and a half from the house, the car quits. But thank goodness it wasn't, 1,000 miles from home. So we drove to Pueblo, Colorado, 4 of us in the truck. And grandma would have been 70 and Aunt Anna a few years younger than that. So every time we stopped, it was a production. What are we doing? We're going to the bathroom. Should we get out? Yes, you should get out of the truck. Like, it took forever. And
Anna, it took her forever to get in and out of the truck.
I don't have running boards. It wasn't that's why the ladies were going to take the car. Like it was a trip.
That's great. So did they drive the truck the week then?
They did. Yeah, they went out and I
gosh.
unloaded. We unhooked it. They drove my it was brand new to me. My 2017.
2 days old to us.
Yeah, 2 days old to us. Brand new truck. My Aunt Anna dumped a cup of coffee in the passenger seat.
Oh.
I just walked away. I was like, I don't know, Mom. You fix it. I'm leaving. Go.
That's awesome. So did they have a good time on Road Week though?
They did. And actually, it was a blessing that they were there because that was the year that my car started just fountaining oil out of the top of the motor, dripping down on the headers. I'm like a rolling fire hazard, but I'm not going to quit because I still have oil pressure. So I called June at midnight one night and I was like, my car might catch on fire. Can I offload my pit crew? So Andy actually got to spend the last couple days with her grandma and great aunt because I didn't feel like she was necessarily safe inside the car anymore.
You're driving around. There's literally a fire extinguisher right next to you, ready to go any minute. Pin already pulled.
Yeah, the fire extinguisher and the 5-gallon bucket of oil that I then strapped into the passenger seat.
Yeah, you needed that year for sure. How many courts did you go through? And then Mike, we're going to talk about your story for the oil too, because it's really good right along the same lines.
Yeah, so I just set a timer on my phone, and Jonathan says it always fountains oil. It does a little bit. It has a drinking problem. So I just set a timer, and every 30 minutes I would stop and put in a quart, and then 30 minutes later I would put in 2 quarts, and then I just did the 1 quart, 2 quart, and 27 was my last count, but I don't think that includes the 5 or 6 quarts that I burned before I started dumping it in. So
that is crazy. August,
but I
hope you don't
pressure.
have issues like that. Hey, if you got it, keep it. And then Mike, how many did you quarts of oil did you use? Because we were kind of having that conversation before we started.
Yeah. So 36.
Dude, that's insane.
36 quarts and about a dozen spark plugs.
What was wrong with yours?
So here's the story. I'll give you the short version. So 2 weeks before race week, I was testing at Mile and Dragway, spun a rod bearing. And I'm like, there is no way I'm going to get this engine fixed in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I'm scouring Facebook Marketplace for a short block, right? Just something. So I find one for $100. It's the only thing that was available that I could find. So it was in the middle of the night, drove out there with the truck and trailer. See,
that's why you LS swap stuff. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there.
That's coming. But not in this car. But so I get the engine right, get it home, start. First thing I do is put a socket on it. Guess what? It's stuck. So there's the start of it. So pull a couple plugs, water comes out the cylinders. I'm thinking, oh, great. And this guy supposedly had this thing wrapped, and obviously it was sitting outside. So then I'm like, all right, I'll deal with this tomorrow night. It's already late. So pull the heads off the thing, and, you can see a couple of cylinders are kind of rusty, a lot rusty. And so basically, I'm like, all right, let's pull this thing, pull the pan, look at the bearings. Bearing look great. So I'm like, well, got the engine freed up, a little bit, started moving. I'm like, well, screw it. So I got a hone, left the pistons in there, honed all the cylinders out with the pistons in there.
Yes.
Honest to God, just honed them out at that point in time, got them cleaned up, you know, put my heads and everything on it, you know, put my cam in it, timing chain, you know, all my good parts on this thing, got it running. 3 days before I was supposed to leave for race week, drove it, you know, about 10 miles. It wasn't overheating. I'm like, we're good to go. And went to race week. Needless to say,
I like it.
Needless to say, real quick, I learned, you know, after, I don't know, every 2 hours, I think I had to stop, put oil in it. And about every 4 hours, I had to either replace the plug or knock the carbon off the plug so I could keep it so it wouldn't miss till I could get to the track, put fresh plugs in at the track to make passes. And going down the track, you could see the vapor trail behind the car.
Nice. Go ahead.
I was going to say mine was similar. I would have to stop and empty my catch can, which was a sweet tea bottle, but like it honestly wasn't catching any hardly of what was blowing out. But there was a picture somebody took of me going down the track and you can like see the smoke. And I'm like, oh, that must have been during the burnout. And then I realized I was mid track and it was just like, you know, oil.
Well, at Heartland, they were giving me the, you know, the stink eye right at the big end because, you know, seeing the vapor trail. So at Heartland after the second pass, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to call it quits for the day.
That's what you just keep making passes. They're like, bro, listen, quit.
Yeah.
No, I kept making passes because I was leading my class going into the last day. And I'm like, I'm going to run until they tell me I'm not allowed.
Yeah. None of the other tracks had an issue, but Heartland, you know, that was Heartland, boy, those guys were rough there. They were, I didn't care for Heartland at all. Every other track was a blast.
That's where we went in 2020, right?
Yeah.
For 2.0. Yeah. And like you had to retech and all this kind of stuff. And listen, the cart, I mean, it's got a lot of cage bars on it, but I'm not going to say it meets any kind of thing. So every time somebody said tech, we were like, God, we're going to get kicked out. We're fixing to get kicked out right here. And we pull in and they go, oh man, that's cool. Hit the road. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Our belts are in. If it flips, we hope we live. God, that's hilarious. Okay, so the biggest question, because August doesn't know what he's going to do yet. He's probably has an idea, but are you guys? Are you a yard sale or are you a trailer kind of folks?
Everything goes.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say,
so hang on. We'll always default to Carrie
first.
So I'm a yard sale because those little trailers behind, it's like trying to back a yard cart behind a four-wheeler. Like it's hard. And then like the car, I can pull it in, I can park it anywhere. One of my hashtags is trunk like an Olds because I can get everything I need for the week, like tires, everything in the trunk. And we joke there's still room for a body if like somebody irritates me enough when I'm hungry especially if I have Andy with me, we have a system worked out. We can be unpacked and repacked in, 10 minutes. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That takes practice, and 13 drag and drive events will do that for you.
Everything has a place, and sometimes people try to help me and I'm just like, oh my gosh, stop, that doesn't go there. Like they put it in, I take it back out and like, just don't help me, go away.
Or they're trying to help and they're like, hey, where does this go? And you're like, if I had to tell you every time, I'll just do it myself.
I'm like, that goes in last, put it down.
Yep. Mike, what do you do?
Oh, I've trailered. And the biggest, I was going to try not doing a trailer last year, but I have to carry my tires in the trunk. And my trunk is pretty good size still, but I still probably carry way too much stuff. I might bring like an extra set of bearings, like for the wheel bearings, things like that, just because you never know. And last year, I didn't know it, but I almost, I got home and I had torn a ball joint boot. And so I was, fixing the ball joint boot. But then when I was checking the wheel bearings, the front left wheel bearing was almost seized. And I didn't realize it, and that's one of those things where, I probably could have gotten bearings somewhere, but on the side of the road, with a seized, I would have been kind of SOL. So I was like,
I mean, let's be honest. Brown Chevelle my directions are brown Chevelle down here. It's easier to get parts for that car than it is, a Dart. So
Yep.
I can't say I blame you there.
So-
August, what do you got? What do you got planned? You gonna trailer? Or you gonna throw everything in the car?
I'm yard sailing.
Nice, dude.
got-
You'll hate it, but it'll be so
Yeah.
worth it.
We got a trunk
I
like a
feel like you-
Caprice, so
Yeah, you gotta cut your teeth doing that. We're Justin bought a little trailer and he's painting it to match the Model A. It's gonna be so cool.
nice.
And I just told him, I was like, man, we're gonna need a trailer. One, because we don't have any space in the car, so that'll help quite a bit. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say too for mine. I don't know if like Pontiac is like this or Mopar, but like the Oldsmobile people were kind of creepy and weird, and we all stick together. And so I'm in a couple of Oldsmobile groups, and people come up to me who come to the track to meet me, which I think is really odd. Like I don't know anyone would
You're
want to meet me.
famous. You're the
But,
racing librarian.
There we go. So I really feel like if I need anything, I can just go out to those Oldsmobile forums. And I mean, I had a guy offer to drive 100 miles one night when I blew a trailer tire at 2 a.m. And I had just posted to be funny, but I feel with the Oldsmobile group, I could probably get parts.
That's awesome. That's a good following to have.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would imagine those groups are pretty tight knit. It's not like a Camaro group where there's like everybody is interested in Camaros and they all have them. It's like, okay, if you've got an Olds, like it's right here. August, what are you driving again?
I'm driving a 2012 Chevy Caprice ex-police car.
Nice.
You got all the fun stuff's on my YouTube channel. So if you want details, go over there.
Sorry, Carrie, back to what you were saying.
Oh, I was going to say the Oldsmobile people, we don't have one Oldsmobile. We all have lots of them. So.
Well, that's the way you preserve the heritage. You own 3 or 4 of them. It makes it easier that way.
So do you have one for Andy sitting somewhere?
What have you got, Andy?
I have a 65 Cutlass.
Oh, nice.
Well, it's kind of yours. It's kind of mine.
It's technically mine, but she has said that's my car, and so now we just call it her car.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a cool one for sure. What's the plan for that car?
It is completely stock. It's the F85 trim package. It has a 330 in it. Can't hardly get out of its own way. It leaks transmission fluid all over the floor, but as long as it keeps driving, we're not going to look at it, just like we don't look at the other car.
Yeah. Say, hey, if it's leaking, it's got fluid in it. It's good to go.
Exactly. So when she turns 16 and proves to me that she can drive with some common sense, then it can be her daily.
Yeah, and that'll be a cool car too. One of my good friends just bought his daughter a 64 Cadillac, and it's just, rusty and beat up. And same thing, he's like, we're going to kind of update the brakes so they work right. And then she's just going to drive it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what she wanted. She picked the car, and it's kind of one of those deals like turn kids loose in old stuff. Let them learn to work on stuff on inexpensive parts and things like that.
Yeah, that's a great way to include the new generation.
Yeah. And we've power toured the car. We've driven it from Indiana to Louisiana, Kansas City and back.
Didn't we go to Georgia one time?
We've had it in Georgia. Yeah. So it's well traveled.
That's cool. So yeah, she'll just jump in there and cruise around, be the coolest kid in the parking lot for sure.
Yep.
Danny's saying you can use a 330 forged crank in an Olds 350. The knowledge people have is amazing to me. Like that's neat stuff. Okay. This is funny for Carrie because she was giving me crap in the little group chat. Are you booked hotels? Are you winging it? What's the plan for your stays? Are you sleeping in sleeping bags on top of the car? What's the plan?
Well, I actually have a friend near Bradenton, so 4 nights are booked in her guest room or her backyard, depending on how it works out. But I think we get to sleep in the house, and then the rest of the time I'm just going to wing it. Like I started out always booking hotels, and then it got to the point where I was driving when I was tired or somebody else broke down and we're hanging back with them, and I paid $150 basically to take a shower and leave. So I just, when I get tired, I get a hotel. And if I can't find a hotel, I have a tent in the trunk.
Yeah.
Or on the car.
Or on top of the car.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can move it at a pinch.
That's one of the greatest pictures ever. Is you coming through the pits with the tent on the roof.
I didn't want to take it down. It took us forever to figure that thing out.
Oh, I can only imagine. And then Scott Guthrie's asking where in Indiana you're from. He said he's from Richmond.
Oh, no way, Scott. That's like, you're a stone's throw from me. So I'm in farmland. So farmland is in between Richmond and Muncie.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Mike, what are you doing for hotels?
For the first couple nights and the last night, we're actually camping. So we'll be at the KOA in Bradenton for the first couple nights and the last night, and then we've got hotels all lined up, from there. Because really, for Sick Week, it's much shorter drives. It's about 180-mile drives on average, so it's not like the brutal hot rod drag week drives or even race week drives where, you're putting 350 miles or something like that on, right? 300, 350, whatever it is, depending on when you leave or the track and everything else. So it's just a little more reasonable to do, and so we went ahead and booked everything in advance.
Yeah, I don't blame you. August, what about you guys?
We booked it all in advance also. So yeah, we're staying in Bradenton for the first, 4 or 5 days. We're going to go to Streetcar Takeover as well. And then,
Nice.
we got hotels booked, throughout Florida and then Georgia.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to compete in straight car?
I'd like to.
Okay.
I've only looked at the schedule once to see what class I'd fit in, but I'd like to compete. So
That's cool.
We'll be there regardless. So hopefully we can get in.
Right. I mean, it's just passes. Like, it just gives you some extra passes you can make too.
Yeah.
So luckily Justin's wife is on top of stuff, and she's sick warding for the week. So she, as soon as they announced the hotels, she booked them. So we're at all whatever hotels they set up, we're at those. So that'll be cool. That'll be the first time that's ever happened. If Stoney is still in here, we'll tell the story of him breaking on the outside of Great Bend and us driving to Tulsa to pick up the truck. And so we drove like 200 something miles and then drove almost 500 to go get his truck and come back, all in the same day. It's like we were awake like 22 hours, and we get back and they had given our hotel room away. So we had to drive another hour to get to the hotel. And same thing, Carrie, we got there at 3:00 in the morning and had to wake the manager up. He's like, I don't have a room. I'm like, dude, I'm going to sleep on this couch right here if you don't have something. And so he's like, this room's not clean. Y'all can sleep in there. And so we slept in there. I mean, we had I think there was 4 of us loaded up. It was brutal, but it was the same thing. It was $150 and we literally slept 3 hours and everybody showered and we left. Yeah. I mean,
now,
I'd have slept in the car at that point.
Do you know Dave Hoover?
Mm-mm.
You know I think it's a 65 GTO. The black not black, but the teal GTO. Do you know Carrie? Dave is 70. I think he's 73 now. And he's done multiple drag weeks. He went to 2.0 with me in 2020.
Okay. I think I know the car. Yeah.
Yep. So it's the Pro Charge Pontiac,
Nice.
Pro Street car. And it's a bench seat car, original factory interior and everything. He sleeps in his car all week.
Wow.
He does. He'll say, hey, what hotel you in? And I'll tell him, and he'll go, I'll be there, and I go, you want to come up and shower or something? No, I'm good. And he just sleeps in his car, and the next morning we get up and we cruise to the, next track or whatever.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, he still works, but he pumps all his money into that GTO, and he'll run streetcar takeover events. Like after what was it? After 2.0 race week, he stopped in St. Louis on the way back and race streetcar takeover.
Nice.
That's
going to be me as an old man right there. Yeah. I'll be like, I don't know. My wife will be like, just go, just get out of here. Just leave. Please leave me alone. Danny here saying, get an Anytime Fitness or a Planet Fitness membership. And I think it's like $20. Just sign up for the month. We're probably in a season right now where they give you a membership just to sign up at a gym. So do that, roll in, shower, and be gone.
Sometimes the shower, I don't know how hot the rest of your cars are, but I mean, we shower and 20 minutes later, you can't tell that we showered. So we could skip one and no one would ever know.
No, I'm telling you, we'll check in, go up to the room and turn it down as low as it will possibly go, and then go get something to eat and come back, and hopefully it's 70 in those rooms by then.
Well,
We
this
went in
year,
one room and it didn't get lower than 75. I don't think. We were all like out of the covers. Everybody stretched out across the beds.
there was that drag week this year at, I don't remember which track it was, at Hebron. I took a shower when we got in. I think I got in around 11 o'clock midnight that night, and I decided I'm going to grab a shower. I'm miserable, I'm tired. Let me just do it, get over with. Well, the next morning, a lot of guys got in later than I do, but the water main broke sometime during the night, and none of them could shower the next morning. So there's no hot water. I'm sitting there turning the water. I'm trying to brush my teeth. I'm like, oh, this isn't a good sign. Yeah, there was guys complaining at the front desk, couldn't take a shower. They wanted, some money back. It was, oh yeah.
That's great. Sorry, I'm texting here. Okay. Which track are you guys most excited about?
Ooh.
I have to tell you, I haven't even looked at the schedule. I don't know where we're going.
What? You're crazy.
I'm just gonna get to the starting point, and then they'll give me directions from there.
Yeah,
I'm just winging it.
I'll be honest, all of them. Bradenton, right? Because it's always set on kill. No matter what, when you watch events from there, it's always set on kill. I used to live just north of Orlando for several years, so I've been to Speed World, but I've never run on it. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
That's cool.
Same with up in Georgia. What is it? GSMP or whatever it is. Yeah, George Sal's Motor Park. That track is also set on kill, right? I mean,
Yep.
you just see a lot of duck events, I think, go on there. They're set on kill. And my first NHRA event was at Gainesville. I've been to John Garlett's museum. It was like 25 years ago. I've been to Gainesville for a national event like 25 years ago. So it'll be cool to kind of run on it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's kind of all of them. There's some of them that just have some cool history, right? They're just fast and set on kill. And, the Gainesville is just because that was my first NHRA event. And, it's just kind of neat to run down it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. Gainesville, I think, is my favorite. And then, the Don Garlett still at South Georgia is, that's what's up. It's going to be a blast. Yeah. And then August, for you, any track stands out?
I've heard a lot of good things about South Georgia Motorsports Park, so I guess I'm looking forward to that, but I don't really know why. I've just, heard good things about it. I've been to Bradenton, but never run at Bradenton, so I've just seen it. And then, it'd be kind of cool to see Gainesville, bigger track. I race at a bigger track here, so I've seen what a big track looks like, but be cool to see another one, I guess. So,
right. Well, since we're just right about an hour, I want to ask some folks, for everybody that's watching, will you please share this out? We're going to be on for probably at least another hour, I would think. Everybody still, it feels like everybody's kind of getting their bearings here. We've got tons of stories that are coming. And then we obviously have to thank the sponsor for all the live streams for all of Sick Week. I can't believe we did this. So we definitely want to grow his stuff. Destroyer1320.com, the neutral safety strap cover and OBD2 cover. So I'll play his commercial real quick, and then we're going to get right back into it. So while I'm doing that, you guys share it out. And are
you tired of worrying about your car when it's parked in the parking lot? You're not around it. You're at dinner. You're at the mall. You're worried about it? Stop being worried about it, man. Go over to www.destroyer1320.com. Get yourself neutral release cover. If you pull this up and you don't see that, go over to destroyer1320.com. Get yourself one of them. Do yourself a favor. Get the latest TDS OBD2 cover. That will stop people from computer and cloning your key. Head over to www.destroyer1320.com now. Use code DESTROYER5 and get 5% off your first order. Thank you.
And again, if you use NARX, N-A-R-X, you get 10% off of that. So appreciate that, dude. He's helped us a ton grow our channel, and Eric's a great guy. And basically developed that product because one of his Mopar friends had their car stolen. And he was like, there's got to be something you can do for it. And so, he makes them, bends them, cuts them, drills the holes in them, all that kind of stuff. So anytime you can come across somebody like that, it's pretty cool. So, all right, back to fun car stuff. I think we'll kind of pivot just a little bit. Maybe get into some of the some of the other fun stories that you guys have, because I know Carrie has a bunch. And then Mike came up with a couple really good ones that I think are going to lead into some good stories. So Carrie, we'll start with you. Obviously, have you ever missed an event after signing up?
I missed Race Week 2.0 the past 2 years. When I took my job at the school, I informed them that I would be gone a week every September. And if they didn't like it, too bad. But the last couple of years, we've just been short staffed and short on aides and short on subs. And
1 year you were doing your student teaching.
Oh gosh, student teaching was not enjoyable. And I found out, like, I had planned to go on that, and I was like, if I can just live until race week, like, I'll make it. And then I didn't read in my student teaching contract that if you miss more than X number of days, that it's like null and void and you have to start over. And I locked myself in the school library and hid behind a bookcase and bawled for like an hour. Like I didn't think I was going to make it. So other than that,
sometimes you got an adult. You got to be an adult just for a minute.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I've registered for 15 and I've made it to 13 of them.
That's
awesome.
Yeah. Mike had to come up with that question because he's had that happen to him. I know it.
Well, the story I gave right earlier about the engine, 2 weeks before race week, that was because of that question. That was the event that I almost missed because, here I am scrambling to get the car back together. And I was, struggling. I was, trying to figure out what to do. I just picked up that engine really just the weekend before I had to leave, rushed all weekend to get it together, get it running, and that was the event, that I've almost missed. So
let me ask it, what happened to that motor when you got back home? And Carrie, it's the same thing for you whenever he finishes.
It's actually in the car right now.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
So I pulled it out because I had the engine. I have two engines, right? And the ones that spun the rod bearing. I was going to stroke that engine, and build it and put it in the car. But I figured right until I get all the parts and get everything around, let me freshen this one up and put in there. So I basically, honed it out with, filed the piston rings, set them to 18 thousandths, threw them in there, a new set of bearings, I cleaned up the rods and everything, the pistons and all the carbon, and slapped it back together.
That's awesome.
And it's running, it's not burning anything, it's running strong. And so I still have the other engine that I can stroke and build and, do something with, because I've got a good crank and, I've rods, and I can, if I want to, I could either stroke it or I could just throw some higher compression pistons, with the setup that I have and play around with that, get it in the 11s, or do I want to stroke it with a whole forged rotating assembly, good rods and everything, and then see what it does, and then throw maybe some giggle gas on it. I don't know.
Yeah. You misspelled boost.
So, yeah. And so who knows, maybe I'll just throw a cheap turbo on it or something. But, like I said, I've got another project that I may be picking up soon. I've started accumulating.
Then it's good. You got to have two motors. You got to have the choice. Yep. I do like that you kept that motor and you're like, hey, you know what? It made the week. Let's go ahead and make it right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be surprised how good it's doing, So I just cleaned it up, freshened it up, tossed it in there, and she's running strong.
That's crazy. And then T-bottle around.
Yeah. The green garden hose, because that's what Walmart had at midnight. No, so backstory on my motor, it had 100,000 miles on it when I pulled it out of the Toronado and dropped it in my car. So it was well used before, but in 2019, I decided that I wanted to rebuild it needed gone through. It had some issues. So I wanted to do it myself because I'd never really gotten into that. And I hate being the person on the side of the road going, I don't know, it's broken. Like, I don't know. So I wanted to be able to at least get myself off the side of the road if it wasn't, too desperate of a situation.
Yeah.
So mine, when I ordered the piston rings, Jeff told me what to order. I ordered them. When I put them in, he told me to check the gap. So I did, and they were all good. But what I didn't know to check was the clearance in the groove. So the rings that I had ordered were too narrow. So they basically beat themselves to death inside the piston. So when we brought it home, I mean, I drove it on the trailer. I drove it off the trailer and into the shop, but we pulled the motor. And when I knocked that first piston out, I caught it. And the best way I can describe it is gravel just like fell out. And Jeff looked at me and I looked at him and he said, "What is that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You're the mechanic." Like, well, my piston rings, would you remember the exact number, Andy?
97.
97. I had 97 pieces of piston ring that we picked out of the motor. And
that's awesome.
Same deal as Mike. I had 2 cylinders that were kind of grooved. So we just honed them because there was an Oldsmobile meet like in 2 weeks and I didn't want to miss it. So we honed them and trying to figure out what we're going to do for piston rings. And there's a set of swap meet pistons over on the shelf and those rings look pretty good and they're the right size. So we pulled them off, put them on my pistons, put the motor back together. So I raced the rest of the season of 19. I came out in Rocky Mountain Race Week 2020 and won the 13.0 class. Decided that if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. So I ran it again in 2021, and that's what I'm bringing on Sick Week.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. What have you guys ever not finished an event? No?
No, I finished all of them.
Yeah, I did. We had half a first gear and no third or fourth unless you literally matted the cart. Like if you were 80% or more throttle, it would pull second, third, and fourth gear, but you had to stay in it or it would just slip like a 4L60 Chevrolet that they always claim. And so we drove 40 miles like that. And I was like, I can't. This isn't going to be good. So we bowed out 2.0 last year. We won't do that again. We'll find another trans at some point.
Well, it was funny that year when I was burning oil, I called home and Jeff was like, drive it, get as close, back to the start as you can. If you blow it up, we'll just build a new motor. Like, no big deal. Keep driving it. But I actually had, when I pulled into Pueblo, which is not the nicest town you'll ever visit on an event, I actually had a guy cuss me out in a parking lot for being so stupid as to continue to drive the car. And he had some colorful words for me, some names that he called me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You also thought it was a Chevelle, so go away.
That's awesome. You're like, yeah, just leave me alone. You don't know what you're talking about. We're creeping on. That's part of drag and drive. And what's funny is if we had left at like 11 o'clock in the morning and had been going, it was day 4 into day, it was technically day 5. We were we were 180 miles from Oklahoma City. So it would have been a haul. But if we had left at 11, I think I probably would have just, even if we had to do it in second gear all the way, But being 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I didn't want to chance it. And I was weak. And I will not do that again. We'll just keep powering through. I guarantee it. Broken, we've kind of talked a little bit about that. Any road hazards? I think this is going to be a good question. Birds, cones, and animals.
Giant grasshoppers.
Giant grasshoppers. I had a headlight broken one time and we found this enormous grasshopper. We went through Kansas and it was inside the headlight. So probably a rock broke it, but we joked that our headlight got taken out by a grasshopper.
All right.
That's awesome.
I got a good story. So it was, we were leaving, what's the track in Kansas? SRCA. Mm-hmm. So we were leaving SRCA 2.0 in 2020 to head back to, I think it was Thunder Valley. Tulsa. Sorry. Yeah, we were getting ready to head back to Tulsa. So we left it like 5:30 in the morning so we could, get into the track, right, and make our runs. Mm-hmm. So it was 3 of us. It was me, Dave Hoover in that 65 GTO or Le Mans. I'm not sure which one it was. Mike Conforti in his Monte Carlo. So the 3 of us were cruising along. Mike was leading. I was the second car, and Dave was behind me. So it was about 6 a.m. in the morning. It's pitch black, right? And next thing you know, I see Mike swerve out of the road. And next thing you know, here's this armadillo. So
Oh,
I
man.
yeah, I have nowhere to go. There's this armadillo, and I mean, I crushed this thing, right? My car, it's the ride height, the cross member is only, I think, 4 inches off the ground. And I crushed this thing, right? The old pan's right there. So needless to say, we have to pull over at 6, whatever it was, o'clock in the morning. And so we pull over, and Dave's like, "Did you hit that armadillo? Because I hit it too." And I said, "Oh man, I crushed this thing." We couldn't find the armadillo. We kind of looked for it because we were looking to see if it was up under, the car somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the old pan was good, not a problem. So we ended up cruising, for a few hours, and we switched up order. So it was, but Mike was in front, Dave was in front of me, and then I was behind. And next thing you know, we're going through this little town, and what falls out of Dave's car? The armadillo. So there it was. It fell out. Of course, I had time to miss it because we're only doing like 25 miles an hour through this little town. So yeah, I crushed an armadillo, and it wound up on Dave's car. And later, Dave's car, it fell out.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Andy mentioned the grasshopper, but I also almost hit a cow one time. Somewhere in Kansas. I don't know. I was following Michael Babcock, and he came up over a hill, and there was a cow just standing there. So that would have been bad.
Ooh,
Yeah, that'd have been
day.
real bad. Yeah, that'd have destroyed the car.
I thought 1 or 2 people hit deer last year.
Oh, wow.
In drag week. So I think 1 or 2 people, I know 1 for sure. And I think maybe 2 may have hit deer.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
we have a deer story too, if you want another story.
Heck yeah, we do.
So in 19, when we were driving out to Pueblo with the 2 old ladies in the car, and I hope they're not watching this because they're going to be mad that we're referring to them as the old ladies. So we're truck, trailer, we're coming up to a toll booth, and I see a deer, and then there's another deer, and I'm going to hit both of them. So I make a choice that I'm going to swerve, and I'm just going to hit one of them. And I swear the truck did like they do in the cartoons, and it just went, and like it must have gotten skinnier, and like because we sailed through them. It all happens so fast. But in my mind, I'm like, I missed it with the truck. It's going to clip the trailer and fly up and like smoke the car. Like this is even worse than it hitting the truck. Didn't hit it at all. Chip Kinney was following me, and he just had his little daily driver. He was road weeking, and he caught that deer in the head with his mirror. So it flipped the mirror, and the deer goes down, and he had just a little dent in his rear fender where it had like flipped down the car. But we went from like me smoking 2 deer to a tiny little dent in the
to catch in the mirror.
I still do not know. And like, I'm like, I said some words I don't normally say in front of Andy. My mom saw them. Andy and Aunt Anna are in the back seat, and they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What happened?
No, Aunt Anna was gasping. I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah, no clue. We almost died. We didn't know.
That's those deers are standing there, and like the truck is like across their face. They're like, what the hell?
And then bam, he gets hit by a car.
Yeah. Oh man, they hollered at his buddy, "You okay? What? I didn't get hit." Oh, smack. Well, smack reminds me. How about road snacks? What do you guys eat when you're on a trip? What's like right here in the seat if you're driving?
You're in charge of snack.
Yeah, Andy's the snack queen.
What do you mean you don't know?
She's like anything and everything. Like our car looks like a 9-year-old was given $100 bill and just told to go wild at the gas station. We'll have everything.
I mean, that is literally what we do. Like, I'm like, here's the debit card. Go get us food. So Twizzlers. I like blow pops when I'm sleepy. Like that is my biggest tip. If you're driving sleepy, like Tootsie Pops, blow pops.
Yeah.
Those I keep a bag of blow pops. Doritos, oatmeal cream pies, not Nutty Buddies because they melt and make a mess.
And they melt in your hand.
Yeah,
Listen,
avoid chocolate at all costs.
Yeah.
Anything that'll melt, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if an oatmeal cream pie will melt. I don't think it's real food anyways.
Yeah, we always have Grandma's chocolate chip cookies. Grandma always
Yes.
makes us chocolate chip cookies, and she typically makes us extras. And we go through
Yep.
tech going, "Hi, would you like a cookie?" Like, if you see us broke down on the side of the road, remember we gave you homemade cookies.
There you go. Perfect. We're finding you day 0. We'll see you on Tech Day.
Yeah.
August, you've been kind of quiet. What's a road snack for you guys? I mean, you seem like a road trip guy.
Yeah, girlfriend is always in charge of the snacks, and she goes right for the chips and popcorn. So the messy stuff.
Nice.
She likes chocolate too, but I guess it's good to know that probably avoid that on race week.
Yeah,
So-
you're going to spend a lot more time in the car on race week. So
Oof.
yeah. And then Mike, what's your go-to?
I really don't have a go-to. It's whatever I decide to pick up, right? It's
Oh, man.
because you eat so bad during these trips because
Yeah.
you never know when you're going to get out of the track,
Yeah.
when your next meal is going to be, what fast food place, you're going to run into or not run into. Because there was this year I tried to stop somewhere to get food. Actually, it was 2 different places. So one day 0 this year at Drag Week, right? I stopped and tried to go into the place to get something to eat, and they're closed. So there was a big car show going on, so I basically walked up to the drive-through to be able to get some food, because the dining room was closed.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that I pulled up into, and they were just closed because they had nobody that would work it. So it's whatever you can find, along the way is what I've been dealing with the last couple of years.
Just to pop back on the road hazards here, Hot Rod Dave says lots of deer to avoid in Florida, along with black bear, gators, and all kinds of small critters. He hit an owl at 90. Like,
Wow.
My
Poor-
new goal is
poor
to hit an alligator.
yeah, right. Yeah, I just want one of
I
them dudes to
want
be
that story.
laying on the side of the road. I just want to pull up and be like, "What's up?"
If you have time, go to Gator World and you can buy gator nuggets.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Wow.
That's what
Seriously,
we'll be
Gator
snacking on.
World's kind of a cool place. I've been to there kind of years ago, but you can buy gator nuggets. They're just like chicken nuggets in a way.
Nice. I
Interesting.
would. Danny says to bring to bring bear spray, and Hot Rod Dave says yes. It's a little concerning if I'm going to be camping. I mean, we're not camping, but if I was, I'd be like,
Well, I'm thinking that 2 a.m. breakdown in the middle of nowhere, and then a bear comes out of the side ditch to help you. Like,
yeah. You just
Not ideal.
all you hear is footsteps coming towards you, and you're like, "Hey, grab that wrench over there!" And it's just some bear. He's like, "What is going on over here?"
I'm gonna
Is
be
this
like,
an
"Here's
easy
a
snack?
cookie, don't eat me."
Right? Any crazy restaurant stories? Have you? Typically we take over a restaurant as a group of people. It's pretty wild. You end up, hey, we're going to IHOP or Denny's or whatever, and everybody's like, oh yeah, we'll go with you. And then it's like 50 people roll into Denny's. Any of those kind of stories for you guys?
Our go-to is usually Steak and Shake. I usually the Canadians that do Drag Week. Dave, oh my gosh, I don't know his last name. I call him Dave Torino because he has the Starsky and Hutch Torino, and then his buddy Sean has a little blue Honda. I don't know any of their names.
Canadian Sean Honda.
Canadian Sean Honda.
That's his name, I think.
I think it is. It's so funny because we're even friends on Facebook and I don't know his name. But we always bet whoever, Dave and I are usually in the same class on Drag Week. So we always bet that whoever loses between the two of us has to buy steak and dessert. So steak and dessert being Steak and Shake at 2 o'clock in the morning after awards. So
that's cool. Mike, any from the road stories from you?
No,
except for having to walk through the drive-through.
Not really taking a place over, but a couple of fun places that we stopped at and ate was we had left. I think it was Atco, and we found this cool little roadside bar. They were doing dollar sliders. It was like 2 sliders for $1, and the beers were like $1 or something like that. And so, we ended up, I think lunch cost us like $5 or something, right, a piece.
Nice.
And then it was like 98 degrees out. If you remember, Carrie, it was super hot, right? It was ridiculously hot. And right now, I've got the windows down. I got a black car. You know, it's hot inside the car, and just walking in the AC and just, you know, cold beer, a couple sliders, you know, $5. It was just like that day was the best.
It was the
You know,
best day
before we
ever.
got back in the cars, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I think we were driving back to VMP, I think it was, you know, and it was the best.
Yeah, so it's funny. There was one year, it might have been drag week 18. My car it was 18 because my car vapor locked like 9 times on a drive. And that was when I decided that I was going to try EFI. But I roll into this bar and I'm driving with my friends Matt and Bob. And so I call ahead and like, it died again. This is where I am. You can drive off and leave me if you want. They come back for me because they're really good guys. So we decide that we're going to go in this bar and just cool off, get something to eat. And we walk in and this woman comes to, you know, ask us how many, and she's not wearing, it's hardly anything. And she was like, welcome to blah, blah, blah. It's Teddy Tuesday. How many? And I was like, never mind. And Matt like pushes me out of the way. And he's like, 3. There are 3 of us. I was like, oh my gosh, we're eating here. So you know what you look like when you climb out of the car after a drive. Well, I look 10 times worse than that. And so there are all these waitresses looking gorgeous and 3/4 naked, and then here I am and my like sweat rolling down my face and like grease across my forehead. And
so the vapor lock deal is a real problem, especially on 1.0. Like people struggle with that all the time. How did you fix it?
I got rid of the carburetor because I was tired of, well, Matt's car. I followed Matt Cutting. He's got a blue 68 Camaro. So I followed Matt and Papa Bob for years, and Matt was EFI and they would drive and I'd be like, I got to rejet. Bob, could you help me? Cause like I rejetted it and it still runs like crap. So I decided that I was going to do EFI, and Holly Sniper was in my budget. And it's funny because I'm on the help page on Facebook and everyone talks about how horrible it is. I'm going to tell you, a librarian installed it. I had some help with the wiring, but like I'm a librarian and I installed it and I fired it up and it has ran perfectly ever since. Knock on wood. Like
what's wild about like the Sniper and, you know, FI Tech and all that kind of stuff is like it's more like your normal car that you go out and get in every day to drive to work, you know. So that helps a ton. We convert a ton of carbureted cars that guys will, it's their fun project car and they go out every 3 months and start it and take it to Cars on Coffee or something, you know. They fight with it for 2 hours and finally get to the event, and it won't start when they go to leave, and they're like, screw this, I'm going EFI, you know. I just wish it wasn't $2,000, you know, like if there was like a $600 EFI setup, that'd be mint, you know, because same cost as like a good carburetor, you know, but they're not.
But it's worth it because now we just get in and drive across the mountains and don't have to stop every 2,000 feet of altitude or whatever it was that we had to stop.
And pull the carburetor back apart and mess with all that stuff. Yeah.
I'll give the thumbs up to everybody that goes by. No, we're good.
Yep. I've been looking at foam fingers because I thought you could just go buy like an American flag foam finger. Like we're driving a 29 Model A that's got a blown small block in it. Does it get more American than that? Right. So I wanted this like goofy, big American #1 foam finger for burnouts, you know, and you can't find them, but you can, there's a lot of foam thumbs up. And I'm like, I need to develop something that you can take on race week and it just magnets to the car just so people will keep driving. That's big enough so I can keep working and I don't have to like, pop my head out. Oh, we're good. It's fine. You know, all that
there you go.
Yep. Let's see. Danny's talking, we were talking about EFI a while ago, said lots of people selling them online. He says, most do not read the instructions when installing. That's typically the problem. We did that. We did one on a 57 Chevrolet and did not read a single instruction, and the thing still started and worked. So, I mean, we weren't complete idiots. It's the startup wizard that gets you about half the time. So, Y'all, I don't really have any more questions. I figured we would kind of, at this point, maybe let August talk a little bit. I feel like he hasn't said much, and this way you can kind of get some of the questions you have out, or anything like that. I mean, you sound like you're not a complete noob. You've been to car events and you've driven the car quite a bit. But any other questions you've got?
I like to think that I'm not a total idiot, but I fool people sometimes. But so Tech Day. What do you guys think about Tech Day? How early do you get there? What are the lines like? What are some battles you have to overcome in the tech line? I'm curious about that.
You get there first at 6 a.m. and then you go run a 5K and come back.
That's literally what she did.
Yep.
Literally what we did. Andy was training for cross country, and so we pulled in at 6 a.m. and I asked Matt, I was like, no, you're not starting before 8, right? But like, if you do, the keys are in it, but we're gonna run. And he's like, run where? And I'm like, I don't know, to the end of the track and back, and like however long, wherever we have to go to make 3 miles. No, so I don't know what Sick Week will be like. Race week, you can pretty much pull into the tech line at any time and get through in a timely manner. Drag week, you want to get there at 4:30 in the morning and you're still going to be there forever, which I can't figure out. I mean, the once you get teched, it's very similar. Have you found that, Mike? Like they're very similar and you can't figure out why one takes so much longer than the other?
Yeah, with 2.0, right? Because it starts in the afternoon. Technically the track goes hot in the afternoon. So really, their tech is, more midday. It's not 8 a.m. start, right? And you got to be tech by 1 o'clock. It's more like, they start at 1 o'clock. They finish up around 4 or something like that. And then, the track goes hot at 6 or whatever. That was kind of the difference with 2.0 where, drag week, you want to be there early. There's 400 cars trying to get through, and basically if you tech's supposed to start at 8, but it's more like 8:30 by the time they kind of get everybody, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and then they finally start doing the cars, and then there's the question of, Keith going, are you sure you want to be in that class? I don't know if you've ever got that, are you sure you're in the right class? Have you read the rules? You want to be in that class? So there's always that for drag week. It's a little, I think it's going to be maybe a little different for Sick Week from the class standpoint, because Tom has made it very clear, right? You got to be fast, or you're going to be, in the pro DYO, or the bullet, or the bullseye, right, challenge type of thing. So I think it makes it a little easier where, we're hot rod drag week too. Tom says you're going to be, if you're this fast, you're going to be in this class. If you're this fast, you're going to be second run. If you're 10.0, 10 and slower, you're going to be third run. Where a lot of guys in hot rod drag week will try to be in the faster class because they want to run right away, and then they want to hit the road. Okay.
Sure.
So there's a little difference there. That's why you have that. Keith has that conversation with some people going, are you sure you want to be in that class? Right. And then, so that kind of, there's those discussions. It probably slows it up a little bit too. So I think that's some of the differences.
Well, and I know just a big thing is having your paperwork ready. Like, again, I'm a librarian. I like to organize things.
Chewed my ass. One, I wasn't at the car, and 2, because I was like 10 cars back, and 2, I didn't have my paperwork ready. I mean, it was like, he's like, dude, we don't have time for this. Get your stuff ready. I'm like, ah.
Yeah. Make sure, obviously. Go ahead, Carrie.
Sorry. So I have a binder, and in the binder, I've typically printed the rules. I have the copy of my registration receipt that June sent me, just in case they tell me I'm not registered. I can be like, no, I am. Look, page 3 of the binder says that I am. But it's the clear front that you can slide things in. So when I get there for tech, I slide in my registration, my driver's license, my insurance card, and then Matt can see them, and I can just, right there's all 3 of them. And you can just check me off and go on. And I'm not digging in my wallet and pulling the mouse nest out of the glove box. And, it ate my registration, but like, here it is.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, us being, I'll say the 12.0 cars, right? They're not looking for SFI stuff either as much. Where some of the really fast guys, they're making sure that their certs are up to date and everything. They've got their licenses. So depending on where you're at in line, Is how quickly you can get through. So I don't know if they're going to do it like Hot Rod Drag Week 2, where, there's two lines. There's the unlimited class, and then they do the, Street Machine Eliminators with them. Okay. And then there's all the class cars, in a separate line.
Right. That makes sense.
So I don't know if they're going to do something similar to that, where, that maybe you can get through some of the cars quicker, because, the DYO cars, if you will, right, are going to not really need as much of the certification stuff unless you are, running bottom 10s like us. We won't need that SFI stuff. And we should get through rather quickly, right? Check your tail lights, make sure your horn works, your brakes, lights, the basics.
Yeah.
And then you have your paperwork.
If you're pulling a trailer, make sure the blinkers work.
Yep.
Like, can't tell you how many times we saw that.
Yep. I've already done that. I rewired my trailer. That's one of the first things I did. Hooked it up, make sure everything worked, and I'm good to go. So,
yeah, one of the funny things go ahead. I'll say, and then I'll tell my unlimited car story.
Okay. Well, I was going to say the only other things they've ever asked me about on tech. Do you have a drive shaft loop? I don't know that they've ever looked. I mean, I have one. They can look. The second spring on the throttle, throttle. Yep. And is the battery in a factory location? Neutral safety switch. Like, those are the only other things they've ever asked me running, high 11s, low 12s.
Yeah. They've checked to make sure I've got, because my battery's in the trunk, they'll check to make sure it's in a sealed case, that I do have a on-off switch, outside that they can easily get to. They have asked about a drive shaft loop, and yes, I have one, even though technically by the rules I don't, but I still have one.
Yeah. Yeah. We pulled up and we told them we were in unlimited, and they started just everything. They're looking at everything. And I was like, they're like, what's this thing gonna run? I'm like, I don't know, 15s. And they're like, get out of here. Leave. God, don't waste our time. But they did check the shutoff switch, and of course I didn't wire it right, and it didn't turn the car off. But the car was so quiet, the guy was like, is it still running? He had to put his hand under the exhaust to see if it was still running. So we fixed that by just unplugging the alternator and turned it right off. So you won't have that issue because, you've got a battery in stock location, all that kind of stuff. So what else, man? Tires.
Tires.
I don't think we'll have, I don't think they'll be going crazy with that kind of stuff. Are you guys going to rate? Are you going to drive on your race tires? Is that your typical plan, Mike and Carrie? And then August, you kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, but that's not like a rule, right? You don't, if you choose to, that's not something you've got to make a decision of, right? Right out of the gate.
No.
I haven't looked at the Sick Week rules. I drove on my race tires one year and got into a rainstorm, and it was very scary. So now I would just rather take the 10 or 15 minutes that it takes me to swap the tires out. And on race week, especially, I need them as ballast to slow the car down anyway. But no, I always change mine. If there's some rule that says I can't, I hope it doesn't rain, because that's not a fun drive.
Yeah, there's no rule for that. In fact, Tom was running mudders on his car, not his street tire. Like Carrie, I swapped mine out. And for two reasons. One, I run a 26-inch tire, so I get as much gear as possible out of the car. But then I put on a 28-inch tire for the street, to run a little less RPM.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are you 3-speed trans, Mike? Sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm a 3-speed.
Yep. And then what gear in the back?
I have a 373.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I could really run a 410 if I wanted to get a little bit more out of it, but it's a 373. That's
cool. It probably helps a little bit, couple hundred RPM at 65 or 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that's why I run the 26-inch tire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I've also run a low gear set in the transmission, so it gets me a little more out of the hole too.
Nice. Yeah, Hot Rod Dave says no hard tire on the track. That'll be the first time we've really had, I've been in that situation, but it makes total sense. And I think Race Week's going, Rocky Mountain's going that way too, just because it makes track prep so much easier. You're only worried about radials and slicks, just.
Yeah, the other thing, August, make sure you have metal valve stems.
Yep. Good there.
Yeah.
Good there.
Yeah, I think Drag Week did the no hard tire 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Gotcha.
They did make the exception in 2019. Remember that that 1919 or 1920, whatever that was car?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
they
watched
let
that
him,
video the other
Oh
day.
yeah.
yeah, and they
Yep.
let him run first, right? Because it was going to take him so long to get to the next track. So they actually let him run first so then he could leave and go to the next track.
Yeah, I think that was like
Yeah.
a 30-second passes or something in that
Yeah.
car.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a cool story. That was his grandpa's
Mhm.
car or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he
I
had to
watched that
like
the other
pull over and oil the engine like every 30 or 40 miles or something
Mhm.
like that. So yeah, that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah,
Super cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Guys, what haven't we talked about? It's weird only being on here an hour and a half.
Well, I'll just talk about my first experience at 2019.
There we go. Yeah.
My first ride, the 19-hour drive to get there, with my cousin was a great time. But, we got there, like Andy was saying, super early in the morning. And then, and all the guys are, everybody starts showing up and they're like, I had my car still on my trailer. And they're like, hey, you really want to take your car off the trailer. You don't want to have your car in your trailer because what's going to happen is you pull in with your car and trailer, you're going to get at the very back of the line. So to get your car and everything off before you go right when you're ready to pull in, you can go straight into tech. I'm like, oh, great. So, they made a little room and we were able to unload the car and get it in. And so I start pulling up and we're like, okay, where do we got to go? And we end up pulling up, we find the lanes for, SME, and I pull right behind Tom Bailey. So Tom Bailey and Dave Schroeder are side by side. They're the first two, in tech for that side. And I pull up right behind Tom Bailey. I'm like, oh, this is cool, And so next, a little while later, Tom Bailey walks up to me and says, hey, I see you're from Michigan too. And so, we talked for a few minutes and, it was kind of neat that, here's Tom Bailey walking up, kind of BSing and talked to Schroeder for a few minutes. And what was cool is I didn't realize it right next to me was Cody Walker, who I never met. He had a 72 Dodge Dart Swinger. So he's got his olive green Swinger next to my black Swinger. And so that was kind of cool. So we kind of started talking and hit it off. And he was kind of cool to hang with for the week. So that was kind of really neat and kind of, the intro, if you will, to Drag Week, right? How cool was everybody was. And then as the week went on, you meet, more and more people. And, we left VMP for the first time, and I was having transmission problems, right off the bat, and I didn't realize it. And we leave, and I go to shift second, wait for second gear to shift. I'm waiting for second gear to get shift, waiting for second gear to shift. We got no second gear.
Man.
So we pull over, and I started looking under the car, and I look under the car. I got several good stories, so this may take a few minutes, Mike. But there's a puddle of oil under the front of the engine. I'm like, wait a minute, that's got nothing to do with the transmission. What the hell's going on there? So I'm like, oh crap. So the crankcase breather got plugged up, and it was pushing so much crankcase pressure, it was blowing oil out the front crank seal. So there was oil pouring out the front of the engine. So we get that fixed. And then I'm like, all right, what am I going to do about second gear? Because here we are, right? We made our pass. I got no second gear. So I end up putting a zip tie on because I was not running a reverse manual valve body at the time. And so the cable was anyway screwing up and I wasn't getting good trans pressure. So I zip tied the trans pressure line so I could get second gear. And I got it just right where I could shift manually and get second and third gear. So I ended up burning second gear up during the week, but we were able to finish the week really with no second gear because it was already burned up at that point. So we get some parts at the parts store. We start driving about 20 miles down 95. And Carrie, I don't know if you know how bad 95 was, right? That road was freaking, it was 5 lanes wide, I think 95, and people are doing 90 miles an hour. And we can
run like 65.
Yeah, we're doing 65. And I see this guy pulled over and steam pouring out from underfoot. And I knew he was a drag weeker, right? And he's got his trailer and everything. So we pull over, try to help the guy. We gave him, we had a gallon of water. I always carry like an extra gallon of water. Give him the gallon of water. And then another car pulls over in front of us. He burned up the fuel pump. So it's just, we're helping these guys. And here we are, we're having our own problems and we're helping everybody else. So it's kind of cool that everybody made it to the next track, you know.
That's awesome.
And getting to the checkpoints, it was like, it's like a party at night, you know, at these
Mhm.
carry, right? It's you know, where race week is a little different, 2.0, where you race at night and everybody shows up at night at the track,
Mhm.
and you know, everybody's talking to you, and it's like a fun environment. Where drag week is more, everybody's at the checkpoints, everybody's there, and
Cool.
you know, because they're there all night, and it's like just a big party, everybody coming up. It was cool to, you know, at one checkpoint talk to, in 2019, I think they were from Estonia.
Mhm.
Those guys were walking up because one of the guys couldn't speak English, but he had a dart in Estonia, and he was
Wow.
asking questions about how can I get parts, and he was asking questions about how I did stuff, but his buddy was translating everything.
Oh
So,
man.
you know, so that was really cool to do that. And then the guy from Australia, he's actually, or no, Austria, the 66 Blown Nova. He just got into Sick Week here just like this past week. So we had left. I can't think of which track it was, but the toll road. I don't remember, Carrie, the toll road that we had to. We remember that it was like 2 lanes. It's split to like 6 lanes to pay your toll, and then it got back down to 2 lanes. I don't remember where that
Yeah.
was.
Somewhere near DC, wasn't it?
They may have been DC, and we had to cross over the bridge, right?
Mhm.
But we're sitting on the top, and it was like 98 degrees, and it was freaking hot. You know, the car was overheating, his car was overheating, and we're sitting at the top of the hill to go down to the toll road, right? And so both of us had our cars off. We were both in neutral. We were sitting next to each other. We looked at each other, and we let off the brake, and we're racing in neutral. We're racing in neutral, and we're doing the paddle thing. We're doing whatever we can to beat each other down to the toll booth, you know, and it was just hilarious, you know. And later I didn't realize they were from, I think it was Austria. But you know, it was really cool, and you know, I messaged him and found out, and I'm like, hey, I want a challenge, I want a rematch, you know what I mean, if we find a hill to racing downhill. So you know, those were just some of the fun road stories, you know, that you come across, right? And then, you know, there was another guy at 2.0, a Mopar guy. His name is Kuda Rick, and his wife, and Sharma was running, and she has a dart that looks just like Cody's, that olive green. She calls it olive. Unfortunately, it got wrecked this past summer, but you know, I met them there, and I met, you know, and you just meet people, you know, from, they have light cars, or, you know, they've had that car in the past, and you meet them, and then you meet, you know, their friends, and, you know, and then you start building that big collective group of people that you get to know. And so when you go to events, right, that there was one guy that I met because of them, that I found out lives 8 miles from me.
Oh, that's cool.
So when he had met Cody and Kristen Walker, the guy with the one dart that I met, you know, at the pit in the tech, and then he come over, started talking to them. I met him, and he goes, "Oh, you know, from Michigan. Oh yeah, where?" You know, and then I find out he's 8 miles from me. And so I've helped him do a few things to his car. He's helped, you know, me with my car a little bit. And, you know, that's why I say you just build that group of people where, you know, I know Mike Conforti, right, from Pittsburgh. You met Jeff from Pittsburgh, right? You meet Jeff Oppenheim. You meet, you know, I met Mike, you know, and actually I raced against you, Mike, one night at Thunder Valley, you know, in the North Cart that year. You know, so you just start meeting and building that group of people. So when you go to events like what's the guy that Carrie, that Doc McIntyre. I was parked next to Doc in 2019 and got to talking a little bit. He was at 2020 race week, and he remembered me and waved, you know, as we were walking by each other the one time. So, you know, you start meeting people, start talking, and those are the cool things about these drag and drive events, right? That everybody's willing to help out because they want to see you succeed and finish. Granted, you may be competing against them in class, but, you know, first and foremost, right, you want to see people finish the event. You want to see people have a good time, you know, and you have good times because of all that. And that's really that's why I really enjoy these events, you know, about doing. I mean, and maybe Carrie, you can build on that, right? Why do you enjoy doing it, I guess? And maybe August, you can jump in about why you want to do it. You know, at first it was a bucket list thing, and then it became it's just so much fun to do it, you know, that I just want to try and make as many as I can.
Yeah. So when I started in 13, I'm just going to be very, I was not a very nice person back then. Maybe I don't know the word I want to use, but Muncie Dragway put together a 50 years of Muncie Dragway. They did a spread on the women of Muncie Dragway, and I wasn't in it, and I was mad. So I was like, the heck with them. I'm going to get in Hot Rod Magazine. Now, I had absolutely no idea how I was going to accomplish this, but I had been following, like, I always thought the gas pump drags looked like fun, and then it switched to Drag Week, but it was always far away. Well, in 13, it started in Bowling Green. So I was like, heck yeah, I can make it to Bowling Green. I'm going to do this. And this is one thing that I don't want to say it bothers me, but now we have Facebook and we have these podcasts and all these other social media outlets. And how do I get a hotel? What do I do? How do I register? And I'm like, I read an article in a magazine. I decided to register. I threw some crap in the car and I went to Kentucky. So like some of these questions, I'm just like, the librarian did it without help, guys. Like,
but the librarians are pretty smart typically.
Common sense, fellas. So anyway, one of the very first people I met was Alana Sure. Yeah. Is that how you say it? So she was working for Hot Rod then, and I didn't realize it was her first event as a female in the very male-dominated car world. And so I met her. We talked. I ended up winning Quickest Olds. So she wrote about me and put me in the magazine. And I was like, there have been people trying to get into hot rods for years. And I just decided to do it, and I stumble into it. Like, it was amazing. And I've been in magazines a few times now. And every time I'm like, really? Like, there were so many awesome cars. Like, I don't know why me, but I always feel fortunate every time.
The Racing Librarian. We need a YouTube channel.
Basically just be Andy and I acting stupid and like hauling pins on top of our cars. Or we really need an in-car cam for like last year on race week. Like every time I made a hard right, there was this weird popping noise, and I'd be like, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything either. Turn the radio up. Going. But yeah, like Mike said, it's the people. Like I'll be talking to friends at work, and I'll be like, oh yeah, my buddy PJ up in Canada, or my buddy Tommy from Sweden, or oh, Jeff and I are going to go do this. And, so I got to go to Pittsburgh, and I hiked Pikes Peak with Josh and Catherine. They live in Colorado, and they're like, how do you know these people? And the funny thing is I have zero friends in farmland. Like if I want to go to dinner, I take Andy and Grandma because I have no friends here. But when I'm on the road, I have friends everywhere. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, yeah, I do want to go to dinner with you, but I'm going to dinner with them. So we're all going to have to go to dinner together.
Yeah. Why don't y'all come with us? We're going over here. Yep.
Yeah. So I've got two funny stories talking about meeting people at checkpoints. Tim Hall, I don't know if you guys know Tim. He has a little teeny tiny truck, and he has a seat in the back of the truck that's like open. So he goes with his.
I need to know him. I need to ride in that.
Okay, so we meet him at a checkpoint. His dad, what's his dad's name?
I can never remember his dad's name. His brother's name is Tony.
Tony. I call him Dad, so I don't actually know his name. I know I feel bad. So he calls me by name. We chat. He chats with Matt and Bob. We go on. We find out we're at the same hotel. We're all going to go eat together. And I want to ride in this truck. Like, this is the key. Not supposed to call men's race trucks cute, but it's the cutest little truck, and I want to ride in it. But they're chivalrous, and they will not allow me to ride in the back. So I smash in the front of this little tiny truck. We're all in there like this. Tony gets in the back, and we go to the restaurant. Matt and Bob follow us. We get out, and we're walking in, and Matt looks at me, and he's like, how do you know these guys? And I was like, how do I know these guys? I don't know these guys. I thought you knew these guys. And he's like, no, you just jumped in the truck and left with them. And he's like, Dad and I were scrambling. Like, they could have been murderers. And I'm like, they're drag
they were drag weekers.
Yes, Andy, this is a lesson on what not to do. Make sure someone knows before you get in the truck.
Tell them that the time Rick took us behind the restaurant to the garbage can.
Oh, so on the power tour one time, we're following Rick Farmer and Dan Southard, and we're all going to go to get barbecue.
I thought we were in Rick's truck.
No, Dan and Landon and Rick were in Rick's truck. We were following them. but they missed the turn. And so we're following these 3 guys we barely know, 1,200 miles away from home. And they go around the shopping center, like to the back alley, like past the dumpsters. And I'm looking at Mom and she's looking at me, and we roll up the windows and we lock the doors. We don't know these guys. We're just following them.
That's awesome.
But the people that you meet is like, I'm excited to go to Sick Week. I haven't seen Jeff Oppenheim in 2 years, but when I bought my Vista Cruiser, I was going to Atlanta, Georgia by myself with $10,000 cash to meet up with a guy that I met once on race week that he seemed like a pretty nice guy. And Jeff messaged me and he was like, "Are you going to die?" And I was like, it's not a smart decision. It is not smart what I'm doing right here. And so he's like, "Why don't you drive to Pittsburgh?" And he's like, "We'll get a rental car and we'll drive the rental car to Atlanta, Georgia and buy your Vista Cruiser and drive it home." And I was like, this sounds like a terrible idea. I'm in. So, I knew Jeff from Drag Week, and I talked to him some. We talked on Facebook, but he was more concerned about, making sure that I got down there and I got out alive. And that was the best trip ever. I don't know if you guys have ever considered taking a 72 Vista Cruiser through the tail of the dragon. I
feel like that car fits that bit of road perfectly. That's what that car was built for.
It is exactly
311 turns in 8 miles or whatever it is.
Yes, it was amazing. That car is terrible. We had a lot of fun, and we have lots of stories, and it was a good time. And the fun thing about Jeff is that he has some hearing difficulties. So when he reads lips, so when he's driving, he's looking at you, and I'd be like, could you look at the road? I don't need to talk. You just look at the road. Yeah. But then when I'm driving, he would tap me on the shoulder and he'd be like, "I can't see your lips." So it was fun. Yeah. 311 turns in 8 miles. And I was looking at Jeff while I did it. So
that's awesome. August, why did you decide to do this? And you're 1,800 miles away. You could have picked a closer one.
I really want to do Rocky Mountain Race Week and go through the mountains, but I haven't had a good opportunity to do that. And that event is so developed; it's so hard to get in now. There were 30 spots open last weekend. Yeah. It's just hard to get in. So I was thankful to get into this one, but I've been following them for quite a few years now, probably 4, maybe 5 years, and they just look like fun, and everybody talks about the community they develop and the people that they meet, and it just looks like a blast. And plus you get to use your car to travel and to to use it more than just to go race it. And one of my other cars is just a race car, and I've always said, I don't want this to be just a race car. I want to use this thing and go enjoy it. And so just the whole idea of it sounds just amazing to me. I must be one of those guys with a loose nut, but the cherry on top of this one was it being in Florida
in the winter.
For
North Dakota.
Yeah,
what's the temperature for you right now?
-13.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Why do people live in places like that?
It's not fun.
That was us yesterday. It was -18, and they delayed school openings, so it could be -14 when we went outside instead of -18.
Yeah, it feels like 17 here right now. So it's it's a heat wave compared to you.
I would love 17 degrees right now.
Man, that is wild. I just can't imagine. You end up with a short season. Next week here it's going to be 50 a couple days, and cold in Northwest Arkansas is 25. So.
Yeah, 2 years ago we were getting ready for our first race weekend of the year, and it's the last weekend in April, and we had gotten 6 inches of snow the day before, and it's like, well, I guess we're not going racing this weekend. So it was
just we're not racing today.
It's terrible.
Danny says it's -8 at work, or -8 at work Sunday inside. That's crazy.
Yeah. I saw somebody. Yeah, there it was. I saw that one flash up. 63.
Yeah. Scott's in Florida. Scott, I can't remember. You're not far. He's with Vets Unlimited, and I think they're the guys that pulled the C3 Corvette behind the C3 Corvette, if that's right. At 2.0, I think the first year.
I've seen that
cool
picture. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember
seeing
awesome.
I think that's them. I just want to tell the reason we started this stuff is because Jonathan Stonecipher. Carrie knows him well. That dude, he just kept saying, we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, he started in 14. So we started the charity drag race stuff with the intentions of it being like a race weekend. And then it come down to, he was going to build a car in 14 for drag week. And since then, that's all we've talked about. That's all we ever talked about. And I finally went on it in 20. So to tell you how long it took me to come around to it, but our podcast this year and live streams are dedicated to drag and drive and cross country stuff, because that's
so cool.
Yeah, we're doing it, you know. So it's exciting. Yeah. Drag and drive stuff. It really is a gigantic family. Like the folks that I met in 20, I still talk to. I mean, I'm really bad about inviting myself on stuff to talk to people, and I will stalk people on Instagram and Facebook, you know, as we're leading up to this event. So for everybody that follows me on Instagram and YouTube, y'all, good luck. If you don't like cars, like if you're like, oh yeah, Mike's a nice guy, I'll follow him because he seems nice, and you don't really like cars, just block me, unfriend me, whatever right now, because like for the next. We'll be down there 10 days, and the days leading, we got 8 days till we leave. So for the next probably 30 days, it's literally, I'm posting, we've got scheduled 4 posts a day, no matter what. And then, all the stuff. So we're going to cover some craziness and meet a ton of new friends. That's what I'm most excited about.
That's awesome.
And to be in that part of Florida. Like I've been to Florida once or twice, but never to Tampa, never to Gainesville, never on a track down there for sure. It's just been family vacation stuff. So
I am excited. I've never raced in Florida. So when I was choosing what races I wanted to do this year, that was one of the perks, is that I've been at tracks all across the country, but I've not been to Florida. So
yeah, I'm excited about the beach day. I think Tom's thought process on, kind of the atmosphere of what we're going to be in, and then also like just the fun side of stuff, and it not necessarily being 100% about racing. It's going to be about the stops. It's going to be like the whole sick ward deal, I think, is going to change drag and drive culture forever. Mm-hmm. I think with what those folks are going to be able to do, it's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah. And Danny here says, looking forward to the live feed stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, you guys are going to have cameras in your face at some point during the week. We're going to be talking. We're going to be live. I've got 2 extra backup battery packs that I'll just plug into my phone and just walk around with it that way. Yeah. So
you're going to need to make sure that I've eaten first, because if you put a camera in my face and I'm hangry, like people are going to.
I was going to say we've heard the story of hangry Carrie. We don't mess with her. Get her a biscuit or a nutty bar or something like that. Yeah.
So the little cheese peanut butter crackers. When I did the weekend charity drive, Jim Parkinson had heard the stories, and he arrived with crackers, and that was the smartest thing he could have ever done, because once I get hungry, like, don't even talk to me.
Yeah. And Scott, yes, so I ordered 25 thumbnails from my little Fiverr.com designer the other day to cover stuff, and 5 of them are unique cars of Sick Ward and Sick Ward experience and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're definitely going to be covering Sick Ward folks too. Because I just, again, if we're going to bring content, I want to bring it all. I want Sick Week for next year to just be even harder to get into. I don't, since we're not going to be in the fastest 100, I'm going to have to earn my way in next time again.
I think the one thing, that Tom's doing that's kind of neat, or Luke or whomever, right, on the backside of things, is they're making sure they fill up that 350, that we're like, drag week, okay, 400 sign up, but 324 cars actually make it, where they're sending emails, they're trying to make sure that it gets full. And there's I've read guys, on the forum, they're still planning on, obviously the Sick Ward guys are bringing their car, hoping to get in, but there's a couple of guys that are just going to trailer their car there, just hoping to get in.
Yeah. There was a gold, is it the gold Chevelle? Is that right? Is that what that car was today? The guy's like, he's like, I'm coming.
The brown Chevelle.
Yeah.
Worse than calling the Chevelle is saying it's brown.
Yeah, he said he's coming no matter if he can get in or not. He's just going to come hang out and be there.
Yep.
And then,
So I think it's going to be, to your point, it's going to be hard to get in this event, right? And just like it is Rocky Mountain Race Week, and they all sell out in 3 to 4 minutes anymore. So try to get on that wait list as fast as you can, and hope that you get in, right? So I think the drag and drive events are becoming more and more popular, and there's obviously going to be a bunch of first timers there, but still, it's going to be a good time. I'm really looking forward to see how they do it. They'll run into a few little bugs, but how are they going to top this year for next year almost?
Yeah.
Well, and so let me ask you guys this. So I found it interesting from content. Why name it why is Florida on there? Like, what other state are you looking at? Like, is there going to be like a Sick Week Texas? Is there a Sick Week California? Because has Drag Week ever gone that far west? We ran through events earlier. Do what now?
Maybe very early on they made it to Arizona, but that's as far as they've gone.
Yeah, I think they've stayed primarily Midwest just because it's central for the most part. Really when they went East Coast, I think that's the first time they really went east, right? To Maryland and all that. I had a good time. Let's talk about maybe switching gears for a second. I mean, it's cool running some of the big NHRI tracks, Carrie. It's kind of neat, right? But I had more fun running some of the smaller bull rings, personally. I had a blast at Thunder Valley in Oklahoma. I had a blast at SRCA. I really enjoyed, going to, what's the one? Cecil County was kind of neat. Doing the downhill track, at in Illinois, that was a good time. I mean, I don't know what it was, but some of the little small tracks was actually a lot of fun. When we did Indy, I was really like, this is Indy? You know what I mean? But, Indy wasn't that great, but I will say Norwalk was really cool. For kind of a big track, I really had a lot of fun at Norwalk. So some tracks, Maryland was, I had a good time at Maryland. I really enjoyed BMP. But some of the smaller tracks, I hated Heartland. I did not enjoy Heartland at all for as big as it was.
Heartland is the track where I got lost because didn't you come back on the road course or something? And I didn't know.
Yes.
Yeah, so I got lost at Heartland trying to find my way back, and it's kind of,
and from the parking lot, it's a mile because they wouldn't open the gate. It was a mile to the starting line. So if your folks went to the starting line with you, it was a mile back to the pits. It was brutal. Brutal. So my buddy went one time with me, and then he was like, not again, I'll watch you from the stands. Which is fine. Cart was consistent then.
Yeah, I don't know what Carrie's, what you think of the big tracks or small tracks, what you kind of enjoy more, but
well, when I started, the big tracks, I was like, oh my gosh, they run Top Fuel here and, kind of starstruck. But now that I've ran so many, one of my favorite tracks is Pueblo in Colorado. I hate leaving there in the dark because I can't see where I'm going. You're basically driving through the motocross course, or maybe you're not supposed to, and that's just where I ended up.
That's just where you ended up.
But it's not a big track, but the car runs well there, and they have the concession stand they have is called a Prairie Dog, and it looks like someone threw up on a hot dog, but they are so good. They are so good.
The only bad thing about Pueblo was the year we took the old ladies, the dust storm. That was awful.
Oh yeah.
So a dust storm blew up, and
posts about that.
It's real sandy there. So taking refuge in the olds during a dust storm is not the smartest thing because it just blew in. Everything was coated in dust. We were covered in dust. But Andy and I don't know if we ran there or if we just walked there, but if you go out in the morning before everybody gets there, you can see the prairie dogs popping up out of the holes and they'll bark at you.
Oh, that's cool.
The craziest thing that has ever happened to me on the racetrack is probably in 2017, I crossed the finish line. I see something dart out. I start to swerve, and then I realized that's a really bad idea at 100 miles an hour. And anyway, it was a prairie dog. So prairie dogs can dart out in front of you across the track, and like it was wild.
And we're talking about road hazard. We're talking about hazards on the road. On the end of the track.
Hazards on the track.
That's crazy. So that's a great question, Mike. I just added that to the list of stuff to ask everybody else. I've got Luke Niewhuff on Sunday, and I'm telling you, I'm a little nervous. I don't really know what to ask him because, like, you know, he doesn't compete in these. He, you know, photographs and is obviously. I mean, he wrote the first, you know, issue of the magazine, so it's going to be interesting having him on and seeing his perspective of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's been to I think he went to every drag and drive event this year taking pictures. I can't imagine. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Andy sent me a text a minute ago. I think she has a story she wants to share.
Ooh, let's go.
I wasn't there for part of it.
Well, tell the part of the story you know.
I don't know. You do it.
Why are you here if you're not going to talk? All right, but you have to jump in the middle.
Okay.
Okay, so in what year was it? You were in kindergarten.
2015.
So in 2015, Mom of the Year scores Taylor Swift concert tickets. And then it's in the middle of drag week. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't not go on drag week, but I can't not go to this concert. So we start figuring logistics. We were in Wisconsin.
And this was all a surprise for me.
Yeah, so Andy has no idea. So I get to Wisconsin. I get there. I can't remember what the name of that track is, but I get there early. I'm like one and done down the track, swap the tires. I drive to the first checkpoint. I have a picture at the first checkpoint at like 2 p.m. We then proceed to drive from Wisconsin to Indianapolis. So we roll through downtown Indy, Taylor Swift concert traffic. We roll up in front of Bankers Life Fieldhouse. This was the name of it then. Andy and my mom, Auntie and Grandma, are standing on.
I'm like completely confused about what's happening.
Yeah, so she didn't know I was coming. She didn't know why they were in Indianapolis. Grandma doesn't even drive in Indianapolis. So we roll up in front of Bankers Life. I dive out of the driver's side. Her dad runs around. Jeff jumps in the driver's seat.
Grandma gets in the passenger seat. They go the wrong way down a one-way street and get pulled over.
So the cars are legal when they're all together in a pack, right? And there's a race thing going on. When you're in downtown Indy driving the wrong way down a one-way street, it might be kind of questionable.
in an old busted car for what looks like to them, yeah.
Yeah, so we get inside the field house, and Andy still doesn't know why we're there, so I show her the tickets, and what do you do?
I remember.
Why? She doesn't even know. She falls down on the floor and lays there.
Nice.
She does. She lays on the floor because she's so excited. So we do the concert. We come out. Andy and Grandma go back home at midnight. And then Jeff and I proceed to drive back to Wisconsin. And I have pictures that we drive back to the checkpoint. And I have pictures at the checkpoint then at like 5, 6 a.m. So when when we go to the table the next day to turn in our time slip and you have to show your checkpoint photos, I'm like, okay, so I said, I have to show you this. And there's a point to it. I'm like, so you see this? I'm like, this is the picture of me at the checkpoint at 2:00 in the afternoon. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, this is Taylor Swift in Indianapolis. See how happy Andy was? Isn't she cute? And I scroll through all of them and I'm like, this is me at the checkpoint at 6:00 this morning. And they were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I've been up for like 30 hours. So anyway, here's the second checkpoint and here's my time slip.
Hot Rod Dave says, very cool. You rock, Mom.
Yeah. So as if like these events aren't hard enough, I just threw in like a 700-mile detour for some Taylor Swift.
Wow.
Well, this year I got lucky.
Totally
My son gets married September 30th. Drag week is the week before.
Yeah.
So I'm going on drag week the week before my son gets married, and then
That's awesome. That's pretty wild. We the hours that you'll be up is what astonishes me. Danny says 700-mile checkpoint. Like that day, we were up 22 hours when we went back and rescued. We basically had made it to Great Bend. We were like 30 miles outside Great Bend and turned around and went back to Tulsa. So you're going to have some of that. Mike, what's the longest you've been up? I think 30 hours. Carrie's probably going to beat us all.
Oh no, she's got me beat. I mean, the longest, I guess it was 2019 Outward Drag Week when day one, we get to the track early. I think it was 7 a.m. They open the gates or something like that. And basically, we get there and it rains. Oh. Remember, Carrie, it rained and it rained. Yeah. And everybody got there. Basically, everybody got one pass. And they almost didn't get everybody through. Everybody got one pass. And they extended the track a little bit longer so everybody could get their one pass. And then you basically had to pack up and drive. And I don't think we left until like 6 o'clock that evening, it was really late. It was like 6. Like I said, then when I pulled out of VMP, I had the transmission issues, and then we were stopping on 95 to help others. And then, the roadmap here is going to be 10 times easier than doing a drag week event because the maps are terrible.
Surely they're still paper.
They're paper, right? And you try to follow along with the phone, but you're going to get turned around on a drag week or even on a race week event. They try to make
it says go 0.6 miles, but they actually meant 6 miles. So you're just driving back and forth along this little strip of road, and you're not even there yet.
Yep. Or the year that we were following. Were we following
Larry and Jeff?
Yeah, and I had the directions, and they missed like 2 turns.
Yeah, so the 8-year-old was like, call them. We're supposed to turn back there.
Yep. Yeah, your co-pilot better be ready, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Like I said, the drive
this
year.
The girlfriend's coming with you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the drives this year are way easier. Just looking at the couple, right? And then Tom is basically saying, just get there, for the 2 days. Yeah. So, but on a drag week type event, right? We got turned around. By the time we got to the hotel, it was, I think 2 a.m. or something. I don't remember, but that was probably the longest day. I mean, what was that? That was almost, about 19 hours, I guess, was my longest day ever. Yep. So, and then you get up the next morning, 7 a.m. or 6:30 or whatever.
Yep.
Try to find
or 5:30 because you can't sleep. You're so excited.
Yeah, you can't sleep, right? Whatever. And then you basically grab something and hit the road again. Go to the track and start swapping over, and and then start all over again. And the one thing you will learn, August, is I don't know, Carrie, you experienced this, right? But after doing an event for 2 or 3 days afterward, it's almost like after the event is done, you finally get track, you turn in your final time slip, right? You go to the award center, all of a sudden it hits you. You're just like, bam, you hit that wall because you've been on a high for so long, right?
Yeah.
And you're just, all of a sudden you just finally almost like let your guard down and relax, and you just hit that wall. And for like 2 or 3 days afterward, you were almost useless.
It takes me twice as long to get home as it takes me to get there. Because getting there, I'm like, I got to get there. I'm excited. My friends are waiting on me. We're having tacos tonight. Like, we stop and I'm like, all right, I'll get the gas. You go to the bathroom and get the snacks. We meet back here in 4.5 minutes. Like, you better be in the truck. And we get back. And there was the year that I had to drive back from Colorado by myself. Andy didn't get to go in 20. I drove like 2 hours and I was like, I'm going to have to pull over and take a nap. Like, I'm doing the head job. And I thought I'm still 1,000 miles from home and I can't keep my eyes open. Like it took me an extra day to get home.
It's great. So for 2.0 this year, we had 18 hours of sleep by that Thursday morning. I mean, like, it was brutal. And that was the day everything fell apart. We couldn't, the trans was bad in the cart. My brother couldn't get the part for it. We had a guy bring a part from Oklahoma City up to where we were so he could get the little Volkswagen Golf cart back on the road. I mean, it was wild. It's wild. Yeah. Hot Rod Dave, I would advise a co-pilot if you can find one.
No, see, I was just going to say we need to talk co-pilots because honestly, if Andy's not my co-pilot, I don't want one. And everyone thinks I hear people say,
is that
I'm
just
not
because you can tell her what to do and she pretty much listens? But maybe
I don't know.
somebody
I've
else
seen your
isn't good.
co-pilot sleeping pretty solid there.
Yeah.
Some of the pictures.
she's cute and she's sweet, but no, I don't know, which I'm around kids all day, every day. Like I have zero private time. Like I have kids on my prep. I have kids at my lunch. Like every time I turn around, I'm tripping over somebody. So like that quiet time in the car, Like I've taken other co-pilots and I'm not kidding. I looked PJ Nadeau. He has the Nadeau. I say it wrong every he is. I say it wrong every time.
I thought it was Nadeau as well.
He's got that super cute red and white Falcon. Anyway,
really tough Falcon.
Really tough Falcon. Yeah,
super tough looking, not cute.
He's gonna yell at me twice.
We've had this conversation.
He rode with me in 19, and I'm not like I was nice, and like finally I just looked at him like, I do not understand why you are still talking. Like you have been talking for 4 days. Like just stop.
Danny says no one whistles like Andy. I think that's a good story. You should probably tell people that don't know that story. I saw it on one of the pages, I think.
Yeah. So the day last year that we had to drive like 420 miles and it was 108 degrees. And I'm not exaggerating. It was 108 degrees. Andy,
Dave, let him come, Dave. Let him come.
Somewhere around mile 50 or 80 or something, Andy decides that like she could whistle, she could make whistling noises, but she's like, I'm going to teach myself to whistle, Mama, like songs and stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I know she meant right then. So she whistled, and then she'd take a break, and I'd be like, phew, she got tired of that, and then she'd whistle some more, and this is the part Andy doesn't know.
No, I don't even remember whistling at all.
You whistled.
Like I just
at mile 420, she was not any better than she was at mile 50. It was a long day.
Listen, kid, you've been at this a solid 2 hours. You need to figure it out.
But it was so funny because at Christmas time, I was somewhere in the house and she was in the kitchen, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Jingle Bells. So she can now whistle Jingle Bells. I don't know if she knows anything else, but she can whistle Jingle Bells.
That's great. So let's talk about kids on the trip, because Andy, I mean, you're pretty famous in the pits. How many other, like how many kids in your age range? How old are you now? 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many kids in your age range have you become friends with because of Race Week that you see, when you guys are on a drag week or something like that?
Not really any at all.
Oh, dang.
Well, no. So there are a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
Andy. So Andy, I'm going to say she has an old soul. She'd rather hang out with Rich Guido and Bill Armstrong than someone her own age. But Amanda Martin.
I mean, those dudes are like big teenagers, so I can see that.
So Amanda Martin's daughter, you fell off her scooter.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember her name. It starts with a K, I feel like.
Kinley? Something like that.
That's awesome.
But no, I would highly recommend anyone taking their kid. I'm proof that you can take your kid and be competitive, and that they can be helpful. That's what I tell anybody that talks about bringing their kid. I'm like, give them a job, because if you just drag them along and are like, sit over here out of my way, they're going to drive you crazy. Like Andy's been unpacking the car since she was 8. Like, this is your job. You get everything out of the back seat. Like you set up the lawn chairs, you get me stuff out of the cooler. Like that, she has jobs.
And I'm the official DJ.
And she's the official DJ.
Oh yeah, there you go. Some Taylor Swift playing. I can only imagine. So my 8-year-old, who will be 9 next week, she really wants to go bad on one of these, and so we're going to test it out. We're going to do the drag and drive weekend. She'll come up. She'll ride with me in the old truck, and we'll see how she does. So I'm excited about it.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure
I'll-
she'll be tired of it after about 32 minutes. Then be like, "Can I go home yet?" I'll be like, honey, we're a long way from the house."
Yeah.
I will say, if it's hot, I dehydrated Andy one time, and we had to lay on a bench in a truck stop for a couple of hours. And
Well, I remember there were some guys and they had like an old boat that they turned into a trailer and they gave me a bottle of water.
yeah, the guys that pulled the
Nice.
little boat as a trailer, I think his name is Luke as well, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, they gave us our water was all warm. The ice had melted out of the cooler, but
Yep.
yeah, if you take a little one, Andy gets irritated with me because I'm like, here, drink this. Like every time I see her, hey, have you drank anything recently? Have a bottle of water.
Please,
Well,
Mom
29
doesn't want to live through that again.
Oh, like 2019, it was, as you know, right, so freaking hot. Me and my cousin, we drank, I think, a case of water in a day and never went to the bathroom.
Wow.
Never went to the bathroom once.
Yeah.
It was, we got out of the cars, right? It was just, we were just soaked, you know, and it was just so bad. But yeah, that's why.
So here's the thing: my theory is, if I'm going to drink beer, I need to drink lots of water before that. Like I need to go into it hydrated, because I'm going to wake up the next morning and I'm going to feel a little less, little bad, if I don't drink a whole lot of water. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah. So this is another tip and trick from the all-girl race team. If you're stupid hot and you see a sprinkler system and it happens to be on, more than once we have pulled off the side of the road and played in someone's front yard.
That's great. There's a Ring doorbell video of two people sliding up in the brown olds and jumping out and like playing in the water and then getting back in and taking off.
Yeah, we were with some friends. They stopped to check on Dusty Parsons one day, and so Dusty's first impression of Andy and I are us just like blowing past him in his broken down car to get to the sprinkler, because we're like, the guys will take care of them.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, are you scared yet, August? Are you nervous about this trip you're fixing to go on?
I'm enthusiastic. I'm still excited. I know what I'm getting into. Well, I probably don't, but I'm prepared to get into some stuff, and I don't know. I'm excited. I want the experience.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. So, let's talk YouTube stuff for a minute, because you've got a channel, and then Mike's got a channel too, and we're trying to talk Carrie and Andy into the Racing Librarian channel. Will you guys put out videos every day? Like, will you go back to the hotel and edit a video at night? I mean, what's the plan for your YouTube stuff?
Yeah, so I guess we're planning on doing a video a day, starting with Streetcar Takeover. Hopefully that's the plan. We'll see how daunting it gets to be, but that's what we're going to try to shoot for, is a video a day for the whole week.
Yeah, we'll do a recap video, and that's why I was typically up till 3 a.m. We would go back and everybody'd shower and lay down, and I would start on editing a video, and it would get to the point by about the night of day 2 into day 3 that I was setting timers. Like if it said 12 minutes to save the video, to load it, I'd set my timer for 12 minutes and I'd go to sleep, and then I'd wake up and I would it'd say another 2 minutes, and I'd just stay up and I'd start loading it onto YouTube, and it'd say 32 minutes, and I'd set my timer for 30 minutes and I'd go back to sleep. It was pretty wild. Yeah, so it's gonna be a ton of fun. Mike, what's your plan?
I don't have a plan. Typically I post them afterward, just because there's, you get, depending on when you get in, do you really feel like trying to download everything? You're tired. Do you miss what you're trying to capture? Yep. And probably I'll miss the boat on some people seeing them, right? Because there's the big rush that everybody's typing in, sick week, right? Trying to find videos and everything. And I may not get as many views, but I'd rather take the time and put them together afterward. And my wife's coming on this trip, her first time. I don't want her to be hold up in
you want her to be like
right for an hour and a half trying to edit
the same scene 40 times. That's what happens. I end up bringing the headset just so people don't have to listen to it. So.
I want to be able to take her out to maybe have a nice dinner and enjoy the trip as well, because she works with 2 and 3 year olds. So she's looking to get away from 2 or 3 year olds for a week, and so I want her to enjoy the trip as well. So I'll probably I may edit an initial one, or two, and then after that, I may just take the time and just really put some nice videos together of everything,
Yep.
and then post them up.
Hot Rod Dave has a good channel too, and he says he's taking footage, and then to get home, he said may do some shorts when he's in the heat of the moment. Listen, it's going to be it's job for me this week. That's why I'm not driving. I'm co-piloting, and if y'all see me hanging out the window of a car to get footage, just give me a thumbs up and wave, and we would like a burnout, please.
Yeah, no, I plan on doing tons and tons of pictures, right, and some stills, and people, in the heat of the moment, doing stuff, try to get some pictures, and and then I'm just going to post all those pictures up if anybody wants to download them. I'll do that too. I'm not going to watermark them or nothing. They can just have them, and but I'll put a bunch of the stuff in the videos, and I'm going to try to do some nice, quality stuff. I try to with every video, right? I try to make it interesting and worthwhile. Yeah, I'm like, if I don't want to watch it, why with somebody else,
And hey, I had to get, like, once I got home, I had to watch some of my videos to even see what was in them because I didn't remember.
Wow.
Dude, hey, listen, I'm going to tell you, when you're on like 12 hours of sleep in 3 days, you'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What time is it? Oh, it's 2:30 a.m. I should go to sleep. And then you go to sleep at 4. Everybody else gets up at 6:30.
What you think you put out is different than what you actually put out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I didn't care that week. We were having so much fun.
Yeah.
I've never stayed up to do videos, but I've completed 2 master's degrees in the span of my 13 drag and drive events. So I know the feeling of everyone else is asleep and it's 4:00 in the morning and you've got the flashlight over the textbook trying to like reference something for the paper you're writing. And then 2 hours later, they're like, let's go. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what state am I in? Like what?
Yeah. Where am I? Yeah, that's a good one. So we've got, we booked 1 hotel room. So Justin's the driver. I'm co-piloting. We're in the Model A again for the 19th time. I've said that. It's just a cool car. I'm really excited. And then his wife's in sick ward, and they're trying to see if their son and daughter can go, who are adults. But there's only 1 hotel room booked. So I'm kind of on this, like, do I mail my cot down there? And then that way I'll at least have a spot that's not the floor to sleep on, or a chair that's in the corner of the room. Because I've done that before too. So I don't care wherever I get in, that's where I'm going to
just buy a blow up air mattress, Mike.
Yeah. We've discussed that too.
Yep, just buy a blow up air mattress, one of those little things that can blow air into it. You know what I mean? Just buy that and you'll be good to go.
Little twin one, and I'll just sleep over on the floor, and it'll make noise and probably pop the second night. And I'll end up on the floor. It'll have this slow leak, and I'll end up on the floor. Yep. Yeah. Danny says a blow up mattress or doll, either one doesn't matter.
Yep. Oh,
something to lay on.
I could bring you Trunk Monkey Dawn.
Flat Trunk Monkey Dawn.
Nice. I don't know if I want to lay on Trunk Monkey Dawn.
Well, I have to patch him. He has a hole in him. I don't know the story behind that. He was flat when I got him. I don't know.
Nice. That's awesome.
Funny story about blow up dolls.
Oh, hey,
high school. I was in my high school graduation. Right? I didn't know my cousins were coming up, that night. So they got there a little late, and so they couldn't be there for the graduation itself. So, I had a 75 Camaro then, and we never locked it. I was in a small town, right? So we're inside, I get my graduation, do all that. I come outside, and next thing you know, I walk up to my car, and there's this blow up doll in the front seat. So here I am, trying to take this thing. My dad's laughing his butt off because he's with me, driving back to the house. And I'm trying to stuff this thing in the back seat as all the parents and everybody are coming out. There's
that reminds me, let's talk pranks. Because I love pranks. I'll just tell you guys. Any Mike or Carrie, any pranks you guys have been a part of or have had done to you on any of these race events?
No, I haven't done any. I mean, I'm a prankster. I joke with people all the time, and
I will tell you,
fun jokes and stuff. But
we've ordered harmonicas. I'm just saying.
I do a harmonica and raise you a kazoo.
I had thought about doing a kazoo as well because it's super easy to zip tie somewhere, kazoos and harmonicas. So we're gonna have some fun with this one. So
You will see guys with, horse heads on, costumes, all kinds of crazy stuff, walking around. There was one guy, what was it, 2019, in his spacesuit, I think.
Nice.
Did you remember him?
Jeff Oppenheim has the dinosaur suit.
Oh, does
Jeff
he?
has the
Okay.
T-Rex.
Hot Rod Dave here, just saying thanks. I love doing these. I love the lead up to this stuff, and I feel like hopefully these interviews will help folks. I don't think new folks typically will spend 3 hours on an interview live stream like this, but hopefully they'll watch them later. And we turn all of them into podcasts. And we were at 2.0 this year and had a guy from Virginia. We were in line, and I was talking to another guy, and he's like, man, are you Mike Narks? And I said, yeah. He's like, we just listened to like 8 of your podcasts coming from Virginia. He's like, it really, passed the time. So that was pretty cool to meet those folks, and hopefully we'll have some more of that on Sick Week, because we're throwing out the content.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, we've got 6 pods of Sick Week that starts on Sunday with Luke, and then we've got Danny Diesel, who's got a new car that's not even finished yet. We got London and Jasmine Johnson from Texas. We got Stephen Mask Jr., and then Adam Dorey and Chad Reynolds are going to be on one night together. So that's probably 3 or 4 hours worth of time, I would imagine. And then,
They're the best. They're both the best.
I love Adam. I've never spent much, I've never had conversations with Chad at all. So that'll be fun getting to know him. Obviously know him from all this kind of stuff, but never talked to him, And then the last night, Justin Chestnut, the driver, will be live on site doing it from there. And he's never been on, I don't think, camera at all. So it's going to be a lot of fun doing that too. So we'll be sitting in front of the Model A talking. So it's going to be cool. And then we're going to go to the streetcar takeover and watch fun racing and do it all day Saturday, and then of course the week. And then my cousin moved to Tampa, and I'm skydiving the Sunday after we get done.
Skydiving is so
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I'm a little anxious. So I told her, I was like, listen, I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna sit in that dude's lap, I'm gonna get strapped in, and then I'm just gonna have to run out of that airplane. Like, we're not stopping at the door, bro. We gotta go.
When I did it, the worst part for me was my 80-year-old uncle. He was turning 80 for his birthday. He wanted to go skydiving. Well, unbeknownst to me, everyone told him no because they didn't think he should. Well, none of the cousins told me this. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go skydiving?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I want to go skydiving. When are we doing it?" So the worst part for me was he went first. Like, I was completely fine until my 80-year-old uncle bailed out of that plane. And I was like, oh my God, I've killed Uncle Larry. Like, there's no way he's going to survive this.
Nice. That's awesome. So let me ask, like, did you get up to the door? Did you panic? Did they have to push you out? Like,
no, I got up there and I was like, and then I was like, there was no point in panicking because my new best friend, Steve, told me once we got to this point, we were going out. Yeah. So I was like, I may as well just decide that I'm going to enjoy it because I'm going regardless.
Your face on the video, though, is hilarious when you get out of the plane.
Well, he asked me what I was going to, he's like, when we jump, he's like, are you going to scream? He's like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to scream and then I'm going to hold my breath. And he was like, you can't hold your breath. So you could hear him on the video. He's like, are you breathing?
Yep. Yeah, I think the free fall will be fun. I think I'm not really a heights guy, so I think the float to the ground is going to be, I'll be pretty tense most of that time.
I'm going to say once you finish the free fall, I think you'll enjoy the float. It doesn't even seem like you're up high. It's I don't want to say magical, but it's not like standing on a roof.
Okay, good. Because on a roof, I'm like, man, I'm a little nervous.
You know how they do those team building events where you're with a group of people and you're supposed to climb poles and stand on top of the pole together, or you're supposed to climb the pole and then walk across this rope, holding it right and all that. I remember this was 20 years ago. I was actually in Florida working, and they were like, okay, when you get up there, just look out at the lake, focus on the lake, You know what I mean? When you get up there and you walk across, it won't be a big deal. So I'm like the last one to go. And I get up the top of the thing and I'm looking around and I go, hey guys, where the hell's the lake? There's no lake. That's what everybody was telling me. Just look at the lake and you'll be fine. I get up there, there's no lake to look at. So I'm trying to go across this thing. You know, they're trying to look at the top of the trees because they're like, focus on the lake. And I'm like, there's no lake.
So you get to the ground, they're like, gotcha.
Gotcha, exactly. Thanks, guys, for the lake. Awesome. I didn't trust them after that, whatever they said.
Perfect team building. That was your manager telling you that. You're like, yeah, I quit.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, Andy just showed me a text. Apparently, Grandma is listening because it says "old ladies" with multiple exclamation points. So now we're in trouble.
Nice. It's a term of endearment. Anything else we need to cover? My wife flies out for Florida tomorrow, so I probably need to spend a little bit of time with her. But so she's going this weekend, then I'm going the week after. It's her first time to fly in an airplane.
A little bit. I was like, why is she leaving now? I thought I had a week. Like, yeah. I seriously thought that
I love my wife, but she's not coming on one of these events with me. She's staying home. So anything else we need to cover? You want to talk about anything we hadn't talked about?
No, just August, relax, go with the flow, have a good time. And if you're going to try to buy track food, expect 3-hour wait to get it. So
awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
You know, because
that's a good point.
You know, that's why it's probably good to have some snacks because, you know, when the grill gets fired up and stuff, you know, all the spectators and everything, you know, and you're trying to make it pass, you know what I mean? And you're trying to see where you're at, you know, you're going to have a long wait from the food line. So definitely, you know.
Yeah. Well, and what's crazy too is the time, like time will not exist by about halfway through day 2 because you're just doing what you're doing, you know, and then so you're like, oh man, I need to eat, and you don't want to spend 2 hours in the line. So Hot Rod Dave's talking about protein bars, and then Danny's asking if my wife watches this content. Hell no, she don't watch it. She ain't been on here 2.5 hours. She may catch snippets of it, but there'll be people telling her I'm talking bad about it.
So, sometimes we grab lunch meat, so that way you can just like roll some ham up in a piece of cheese real quick at the track. And also, I don't know about sick ward participants, but road weekers love to help. You find somebody with that road week armband and you're like, hey, here's $20. You go get me food. Yep. And they will stand in that line for you and then come find you with the food.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Good tip.
That's a great tip. Yep. Well, cool. Well, y'all, hey, I want to say thank you so much for taking 2.5 hours out of your time and listening to all of my group messages. I mean, I feel like I've worn y'all out and been a pest most of the time, but I really do appreciate that. And then Danny says 2 hours waiting for a peanut-sized burger.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank y'all for that. Figured I would let you guys say bye, and then I definitely want to hit the Destroyer 1320 one more round, saying thanks to those guys. So if you guys want to say bye, and I'll put you backstage.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. It was good to meet y'all, and we'll see you at Sick Week.
Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you, you're my new best friends now, so you're stuck with me.
That's cool, Gary.
Awesome. Well, thanks for all the great insight, and I'm sure it'll help me. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, man, go with the flow. Have a good time.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Y'all stay with me. I'm going to cancel this out, and then we'll talk for another 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll shut it down, and I'll go inside. I promise.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Again, all the live streams are brought to us by Destroyer1320.com. Cannot thank that guy enough. Everything we do all week, all the live streams will be, because of him. And so I wanted to play the thing real quick. I did want to say, don't let it become suck week because your Mopar gets stolen. So take care of Destroyer 1320, Destroyer1320.com, and get this piece ordered.
Are you tired of worrying about your car when it's parked in the parking lot? You're not around it. You're at dinner. You're at the mall. You worried about it? Stop being worried about it, man. Go over to www.destroyer1320.com. Get yourself neutral, release cover. If you pull this up and you don't see that, go over to destroyer1320.com. Get yourself one of them. Do yourself a favor. Get the latest TDS OBD2 cover. That will stop people from polluting and cloning your key. Head over to www.destroyer1320.com now. Use code DESTROYER5 and get 5% off your first order. Thank you.
All right, and again, 10% if you use NARX, N-A-R-X. All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you Sunday at noon with Luke Niewhuff, noon Eastern time, 11 Central. So, all right, thanks. Appreciate everybody hanging out.